In a grand hall, the demon king Arachne recognized the otherworld hero and moved to make him her puppet. Earlier that day, he stood before the final boss during a speedrun event as the audience watched. With precise timing, he executed the final glitch and delivered the finishing blow. A new world record was achieved, earning him widespread recognition. His mastery came from exploiting glitches to clear games as quickly as possible. Isekai'd reflected on conquering a game that normally required over 100 hours. Meanwhile, fellow runners praised his skill, while he credited viewers, commentators. During the closing session, attention shifted to life after the event, and he calmly considered returning to work. As the summit ended, messages of admiration filled the chat, despite a missed final glitch. Later that night, he sat before his monitors and quietly resumed practice. After countless attempts, Isekai'd continued practicing the difficult final glitch, determined to improve its low success rate. Rather than stopping, he refined every movement, chasing a faster and smoother route through the game. Hours passed as exhaustion built, and his focus gradually slipped during another run. Suddenly, darkness surrounded him, leaving him confused as reality seemed to vanish. Mysterious voice called to a lost soul while strange celestial paths opened before him. A pillar of light descended inside a vast cathedral, and an unfamiliar young man awoke beneath it. Relief spread through the gathered crowd as they realized the summoning ritual had succeeded after a century. Officials reported the success across the capital, despite concerns about the hero's ordinary appearance. The kingdom's princess introduced herself and formally welcomed the confused newcomer. She explained that he had been summoned to aid their desperate war against the Demon King. The princess explained that endless demons poured from evil roots. Kneeling before him, she pleaded for his help, declaring him their final hope in the war. Instead of feeling heroic, confusion spread through his mind as the situation seemed strangely familiar. Soon, recognition struck when he realized the scene matched the opening sequence of another verse. At last, he concluded that he had somehow entered the very game he once mastered. He questioned why he was seeing the world through his character's eyes. After testing his movements, excitement replaced confusion as everything felt as responsive as reality itself. A bold idea quickly formed in his mind, turning the crisis into a challenge. Ignoring the princess's ceremony, he sprinted away the moment the timer began. Soon, shock spread across the hall when he used a glitch and ran straight through a wall. While racing through the castle, he explained his route aloud and skipped the holy sword tutorial entirely. Back in the cathedral, the princess finally noticed both the missing hero and the abandoned weapon. Soon, a cat-eared attendant chased after him, struggling to keep up with his pace. Reaching the capital in record time, he immediately began scouting the city for useful shortcuts. A local adventurer approached and offered to show the newcomer around. Without hesitation, he rejected the adventurer's offer and rushed onward. Meanwhile, the stunned adventurer could only watch as the strange newcomer disappeared into the distance. While running, he explained that a precise movement could bypass an early tutorial. Experience had taught him that missing this shortcut would cost minutes and ruin an efficient speedrun. Elsewhere, worried attendants searched the city after learning the summoned hero had left without the holy sword. Ignoring the awkward reactions behind him, he continued forward while the cat-eared attendant hurried after him. Before long, she finally caught up as he reached the forest of the dead. He immediately followed a strange strategy known only to experienced runners. To the attendant's disbelief, he discarded his equipment and picked up a simple wooden stick. Moments later, he charged directly into a group of undead, leaving his companion completely stunned. Armed with nothing but a stick and determination, he faced the undead while ignoring every warning around him. As the monsters swarmed, he allowed himself to be struck repeatedly instead of avoiding their attacks, leaving him standing victorious despite his battered condition. He explained that the damage was necessary for the route he planned. Without slowing down, he moved deeper into the dungeon while Danya desperately tried to stop him. Despite his injuries, he refused healing and explained that weaker enemies would make the route faster. Keeping low defense and taking damage early created the ideal conditions for later sections. Meanwhile, Danya chased after him, determined to heal his wounds no matter what. Viewing her as a constant obstacle, he pushed forward at full speed through the forest. Once the dungeon was cleared, he finally accepted treatment and continued toward the next destination. Danya warned that Arachne, one of the Demon King's elite commanders, awaited inside. Something about her words felt unusual to him, yet he continued following his planned route. Soon, Arachne's giant familiar appeared and blocked the path, creating a dangerous obstacle. Rather than retreating, he rushed around the creature with precise movements that confused everyone watching. Moments later, he calmly defeated the familiar using only a wooden stick, leaving Dashanya speechless. After defeating the familiar, he paused briefly while an unexpected reward appeared before him. Rather than celebrating, He explained that the wooden stick contained a powerful glitch that greatly increased its strength. Meanwhile, Danya and the princess struggled to understand the strange methods behind his success. Luck favored the run when the defeated mini-boss dropped a useful enhancement item. With preparations complete, he confidently headed toward Arachne Castle, the next major challenge on his route. Inside the castle, Arachne welcomed the otherworld hero and revealed her desire to turn him into a puppet. She launched her attack while Danya tried to protect him from the elite commander. Instead of fighting, he activated a known exploit and ran straight past the encounter. Confusion spread through the hall when he suddenly vanished through the castle wall. Arachne ordered her servants to search every corner while Danya followed the hidden route. He claimed the strongest weapon needed for his strategy and ignored the remaining elite commanders. Explained that a rare bug could warp him directly toward the final dungeon. Danya demanded to know how the world could be saved through endless shortcuts. In response, he revealed that defeating every enemy was unnecessary as long as the game could be cleared. With unwavering confidence, he declared his goal to become the fastest person to defeat the Demon King. After reaching a remote cliff, he announced that the final boss route was finally within reach. Meanwhile, Danya followed him down and quietly reflected on everything she had witnessed so far. Rather than rushing ahead, he used a buff item and reviewed the progress of his run. Satisfied with the results, he counted several successful skips and preparations. For the first time, he began appreciating the world itself instead of only the speedrun. While resting before the final battle, he reflected on surpassing every previous run. Soon, determination replaced doubt as he vowed to achieve an even faster clear than ever before. At last, he reached the Demon King ahead of schedule and prepared for the decisive confrontation. The ruler of darkness recognized the otherworld hero and turned toward the unexpected challenger. Without fear, the Demon King welcomed the battle and promised to erase the arrogant human. He ignored every distraction and followed a precise strategy against the Demon King. Although a single mistake meant defeat, he avoided every attack while striking at carefully chosen moments. Soon, even Danya realized the mysterious newcomer was overwhelming an enemy feared for generations, landed the decisive sequence of blows, and pushed the battle to its end. As the Demon King collapsed, the run reached completion, but he calmly denied that it was over. Just as victory seemed certain, the Demon King transformed and revealed a far more dangerous second phase. Rather than panicking, he calmly explained the attack patterns. Next came a difficult technique he had created himself, one capable of saving precious time. Because success depended heavily on luck, he waited for the perfect sequence of actions to appear. Before attempting the decisive glitch, he quietly asked Danya to pray for his success. As the battle continued, Danya followed his request and quietly prayed, while the Demon King pressed the attack. Fortunately, the next move matched the pattern he had been hoping to receive. Moments later, an unfavorable sequence appeared, threatening to ruin the strategy he had prepared. Unexpectedly, the Demon King shifted attacks at the perfect time, creating a rare opportunity. He credited Danya's prayer and resolved to share the discovery after returning home. He launched into the final technique and raced toward the decisive opening. To Danya's amazement, he began running along the castle wall while maintaining perfect control, balancing on tiny fragments and invisible edges. He executed a precise sequence that pushed the glitch further. Seconds later, he reached the Demon King's weak point and prepared the finishing strike. As victory drew near, the wounded ruler cursed the goddess while the hero closed in. Executing the Shichiku step perfectly, he reached the Demon King's core before the final attack could stop him. Moments later, the decisive strike landed, shattering the core and ending the battle in record time. Defeated at last, the Demon King collapsed and swore vengeance upon the otherworld hero. Silence filled the hall as Danya struggled to process what she had just witnessed. Soon after, she formally acknowledged that he had completed the mission entrusted to him. With the Demon King defeated, he expected the ending sequence to begin and considered the run complete. Meanwhile, Danya revealed her true identity and explained how peace would soon return to the kingdom. Rather than listening carefully, he reviewed the run in his head and evaluated where time could be saved. He continued searching for ways to achieve an even faster record. Then something felt wrong when the ending scene failed to start as expected. Dasanya revealed that she could no longer return to her original form. Hearing this, he immediately realized something was wrong with the outcome of the run. The missing transformation meant an important condition had not been fulfilled, despite the Demon King's defeat. Meanwhile, Danya struggled to understand why the problem remained unresolved. Faced with the unexpected situation, he concluded that the game itself had not truly ended yet. Realizing the world remained incomplete, he feared being trapped forever. In the capital, a cat-eared girl visits a tailor, uneasy among busy streets and unfamiliar attention. A man suddenly appears without clothing, startling her as his presence draws shock. Later, food and shelter ease the tension while he begins adjusting to the new environment. Wearing basic gear, he claims normal behavior, though his actions remain suspicious to her. They move aside quietly, seeking privacy as she prepares to confront him directly, admitting the event was unintentional and linked to a strange game ending he did not expect. He describes a bug caused by using cleared data, creating invisible barriers that prevent entry through normal doors. The cat-eared girl reacts with concern, realizing the issue could affect many places, despite the problem. She continues eating while he reflects on the unusual glitch. Shichiku reveals his knowledge of the world, trying to make sense of Anverse and her role within it. The cat-eared girl struggles to accept Shichiku's explanation, though her own eyes confirm something is clearly wrong. Concluding the phenomenon is neither magic nor logic of that world, a realization strikes as she links his glitch usage to defeating the Demon King, suggesting a deeper consequence. Shichiku recalls countless runs, noting this outcome never occurred. Both recognize the current glitch behaves differently, breaking expectations, and hinting at unpredictable changes ahead. The girl questions him seriously, while Shichiku denies responsibility, reacting with urgency to clear suspicion. After thinking, he proposes a possibility, linking her inability to return with something beyond normal expectations. A realization forms as he identifies the situation as the game's true ending. He explains that defeating the Demon King alone only leads to a standard conclusion. Not this outcome. By fulfilling hidden conditions and overcoming stronger enemies, the real ending finally becomes visible to them. The girl listens in confusion as Shichiku begins summarizing the effects caused by glitches in the world. He explains that reaching the true ending will erase those anomalies and restore her original state. Understanding this, she realizes returning to normal would allow her magic to reconnect with her previous world. A quiet pause follows as guilt surfaces, acknowledging the burden placed on him. She refuses his apology while reflecting on her sudden summoning into this unfamiliar world. Shichiku admits he must return home soon, though he values this world despite its uncertainty. A faint smile appears as he expresses genuine happiness from being in Anverse, surprising the girl. Restlessness grows within him, unable to stay calm without acting as he usually does. His habits surface, revealing he constantly treats the world like a speedrun, driven by efficiency. Hearing this, the girl becomes uneasy, sensing his mindset prevents him from truly living in this world. Planning to gather information while staying cautious about their unusual situation, a dark vortex appears beyond the city walls, drawing Shichiku's attention as its presence feels unnatural. The girl explains it as the source of all monsters, something even defeating the Demon King could not fully stop. She warns that peace is fragile, urging vigilance despite the Demon King's fall. Shichiku quietly understands, recognizing a deeper path tied to her fate and salvation, leaving the girl confused as he heads toward the item shop without warning. Walking through the city, he becomes aware of the world's vivid detail, realizing he is truly inside the game. Suspicion grows as he analyzes her behavior, concluding she may not act like a normal character within the system. A loud disturbance interrupts them, drawing attention to the sky as something approaches rapidly. Chaos erupts when a wyvern breaks through the barrier, forcing civilians to panic. The girl freezes, staring upward as danger suddenly fills the sky above the capital. A massive wyvern descends, spreading its wings as its presence overwhelms the city below. Anger rises within her as she prepares to confront the intruder that dared enter. An explosion erupts midair, halting the creature and leaving her momentarily confused. From behind, Shichiku steps forward, raising a slingshot as he calmly takes control of the situation. Shichiku prepares a simple slingshot, loading it with firecrackers while focusing on the incoming threat. The attack ends quickly, leaving the girl stunned as he casually explains his quick purchase in action. He reveals the event is predetermined, triggered upon entering the capital as part of the game's system, drawing from experience. He recalls mastering similar events during previous playthroughs. With confidence, Shichiku explains the precise timing needed to defeat the wyvern before it can attack. Shichiku demonstrates a rapid technique, canceling motions to fire the slingshot at extreme speed. The girl reacts sharply, scolding him for using such glitches openly, despite his attempt to justify it. Onlookers gather, confused and disturbed by his unnatural movements and strange behavior. Attention shifts as townspeople question his identity, noticing his unfamiliar presence in the city, recalling his earlier actions and adding to the growing confusion surrounding Shichiku. Suspicion spreads as townspeople surround Shichiku, accusing him of being a threat after witnessing his strange actions. The girl tries to calm the situation, blaming his use of glitches for causing misunderstanding among the crowd. Rumors quickly rise, identifying him as a summoned hero from another world. Doubt remains as others question his true nature, unsure whether to trust his power. Tension escalates when some accuse him of deception, forcing Shishiku to respond carefully. An old woman steps forward, firmly denying the accusations, and declaring Shishiku is not a demon. Painful memories surface as she recalls losing her family to monsters and the suffering she endured. Through that trauma, she gained the ability to distinguish demons from humans, recognizing Shishiku's true nature. With trembling hands, she reaches out, expressing trust she has long held for a hero. Tears fall as she pleads for a peaceful world, placing her hope entirely in him. Noticing parts that differ from what he remembers of the game, the girl explains the village tragedy, linking it to a powerful demon under the elite force's control. He feels the weight of reality, realizing these events are far more painful than when seen as a game. Looking toward the distant vortex, both understand the threat continues to spread across the land. She admits her duty remains unfinished, despite the Demon King's defeat. The girl lowers her gaze, admitting her weakness while feeling overshadowed by the Saints of Salvation. Explains her role, revealing she always follows behind the hero, relying on his presence. Walking together, she finds comfort in his company, even in dangerous and unfamiliar places. That reassurance allows her to stay calm despite the ongoing threats surrounding them. Shishiku smiles gently, expressing deep admiration for her, leaving her completely stunned. Her low ranking, comparing it to popularity systems while insisting her true value is much higher. He concludes the world follows the same programming as the game, confirming glitches behave identically here. Confidence rises as he promises she can return to normal, aiming together for the true ending. They share a brief moment of unity before shifting back to practical concerns. At the guild, reports reveal no damage, surprising everyone with the flawless outcome. Inside the guild, rumors spread as adventurers argue over the sudden appearance of a supposed otherworld hero. The guildmaster arrives, observing the situation calmly as a separate event begins unfolding beyond the hero's direct involvement. Inside the guild, Jean confronted the newcomer with visible anger, recalling being ignored the previous day. He stepped closer, expression intense, asserting dominance and testing the newcomer's resolve. Shishiku showed little fear, though his face hinted at quiet frustration and confusion. Later, regret surfaced as he bowed slightly, acknowledging his reaction had been excessive. Memories of repeated failures weighed on him, reminding him how past mistakes still influenced his actions. The newcomer reflected on past mistakes, realizing his reactions were tied to lingering regret and buried memories. Jian observed him carefully, suspecting deeper guilt connected to someone from the boy's past. Tension eased as both acknowledged a misunderstanding, allowing a more respectful connection to form. Discussion shifted toward the guildmaster, revealing her absence and raising questions about current priorities. With matters settled, Jean accepted him into the guild, seeing potential and deciding the timing was right. At the guild, Marone introduced Ida's shield, explaining its role across the kingdom and its structure. She detailed the ranking system, showing how completing quests would raise status and unlock greater challenges. The newcomer learned he could register without an exam, thanks to a trusted recommendation. Jian added that the guild's badge granted credibility and easier travel between cities. Hearing about rewards and Ida's influence, the group recognized the opportunities awaiting ahead. The group admired Ida's presence, recognizing her influence as a reason many joined the guild. Tension rose briefly when emotions flared, though the situation quickly settled without escalation. The newcomer observed everything closely, noticing how interactions felt more vivid than expected. He reflected on the world's depth, realizing its details and systems resembled a fully immersive game. Excitement grew within him, as the experience matched his desire to engage and progress through this world. At the counter, the newcomer followed instructions, placing his hand on a crystal device to begin registration. The receptionist confirmed his name, carefully verifying the identity shown through the system. His status appeared as level 1, surprising others while he realized his familiar name carried over concern, spread among the group as they noticed he had not progressed at all. The process continued, leaving questions unresolved while others stepped aside to give space. She questioned how he could defeat a demon king at level 1, suspecting something unusual. Shishiku calmly confirmed it, revealing his approach was based on speedrunning methods. Began explaining the concept, linking it to knowledge from another world and past experience. Idea expanded as he described cooperation, strategies, and shared techniques behind efficient runs. Concluded by showing its scale, explaining that many players worldwide compete and refine these methods. He explained that defeating the Demon King depended on minimizing time, though the final boss possessed overwhelming strength. Early strategies relied on leveling and switching to stronger weapons for faster completion. Progress stalled as obstacles and time limits prevented further shortcuts, despite discovered glitches. Eventually, a broken weapon with extreme power appeared, changing the entire approach. He revealed how this glitch transformed speedrunning methods, spreading widely and reshaping how players cleared the game. Using a powerful glitch, he described how the Demon King could be defeated quickly, even at level 1, setting a remarkable record. Meanwhile, the registration process approached its conclusion as the group waited for confirmation. Suddenly, attention shifted when an imposing presence appeared behind them. The guildmaster stepped forward, her authority immediately recognized by everyone nearby. Surprise spread through the group as he realized the awaited figure had finally arrived. Standing before the guildmaster, he felt overwhelmed by her presence, struggling to reconcile her image with what he expected. Embarrassment followed as his thoughts showed on his face, prompting others to question his reaction. Attention shifted to her mood, with those nearby sensing tension and recalling her connection to Danya. Composing himself, he introduced his name and declared his intention to join the guild. Then, with calm resolve, he revealed his true identity as the Otherworld hero. Recognition spread, as the guildmaster identified him, linking his identity to his unusually low level. Her expression hardened, exposing her view of him as someone who abandoned his duty in another world. Memories of his failure surfaced, describing how he fled without completing his mission. Anger erupted as she moved to attack, refusing to accept any defense for his actions. With fury, she condemned him, questioning how he could disregard the people who depended on him. The guildmaster rejected him, throwing a sword forward and demanding he prove himself through a duel. Concern spread among the others, but she silenced them and set strict conditions for the fight. Instead of taking the sword, he calmly chose a simple wooden stick. Confidence showed as he gripped it, ignoring attempts to stop him. Shock followed when its true power was revealed, making everyone question the outcome. She followed him with concern, reminding herself of her bond with Kira, while sensing the tension ahead. Confidence appeared on his face as he prepared, holding the wooden stick without hesitation. The duel began as he stepped forward, while fear and urgency spread among those watching. At the guild training ground, the speedrunner accepted a challenge from a Valkyrie knight. Around the arena, several spectators grew uneasy as both fighters faced each other. Instead of retreating, he remained calm and prepared for the coming battle. Seeing his resolve, the knight recognized his courage and chose to stop holding back moments later. She activated a divine skill, releasing immense power and signaling the true start of their duel. As the Valkyrie activated her blessing, the spectators immediately noticed her armor changing and sensed the danger ahead. Enhanced by divine power, her body gained far greater strength and speed than before. Meanwhile, the speedrunner's past feats were recalled, leaving the audience convinced he had already surpassed normal humans. Despite growing concern from the sidelines, neither fighter showed any intention of stopping. Soon, both opponents took their stances, and the long-awaited duel finally began. The speedrunner rushed forward at astonishing speed, reaching the Valkyrie before she could fully react. Recognizing the threat, she tightened her grip and pushed her enhanced abilities even further. However, sending him flying across the training ground and shocking the spectators. Soon after, the crowd ran toward the fallen challenger, while the Valkyrie calmly watched from a distance. He stood up again, saved by his equipment, and ready to continue the match. After the clash ended, the spectators hurried over and used recovery magic to treat the injured speedrunner. One of them questioned why he had charged into such a dangerous fight. In response, he calmly explained that the battle was a scripted defeat event. According to his knowledge, no matter what happened, the outcome was fixed by the game's story, therefore, triggering the event immediately, instead of wasting time in a hopeless battle. While recovering, the speedrunner noticed small differences from the original game and began reconsidering his assumptions. Soon after, he thanked the healer and confirmed that his injuries had completely disappeared. A misunderstanding followed when she mentioned a close friendship that he never expected to hear about. The healer immediately rejected his reaction and struck him in frustration. Before the situation could settle, another adventurer arrived carrying recovery potions that were no longer needed. After the duel, Kira approached Shachiku and questioned whether he had intentionally thrown the fight. Only someone equal to or stronger than her could have reacted that way. Shachiku realized events were no longer following the original game. Rather than giving a complicated explanation, he stated that he had no reason to defeat Kira. Hearing that, she accepted his answer and regarded Shachiku as an ally who would face the Demon King alongside her. Kira apologized for her earlier behavior and admitted that her first impression of Shachiku had been unfair. Shachiku expressed his desire to build a friendship and work together from that point onward. After dismissing the others, Kira asked to speak with Shichiku privately about an important matter. She revealed her determination to prove herself through her own strength. Having devoted her entire life to defeating the Demon King, she declared that the final victory should belong to her. Shock spread across Kira's face when Shichiku revealed that the Demon King had already been defeated. She demanded an explanation, while the others listened in silence. Confusion only deepened as the unbelievable claim contradicted everything she knew. Calmly, Shichiku explained that he had defeated the Demon King shortly after arriving in this world. Hearing that it was done as part of a speedrunning challenge, Kira struggled to comprehend the absurd achievement. Although Kira found Shichiku's story impossible to believe, Ida insisted that he was telling the truth. Meanwhile, the healer admitted that arguing with Shichiku had become pointless long ago. Accepting the situation, Kira decided to explain a strange incident that had occurred the previous day. Shortly after the hero summoning, a massive roar echoed from a northern castle near the capital. Shichiku immediately suspected that the disturbance was somehow connected to his earlier actions. He learned that Arachne's spider familiars had been appearing across the region in large numbers. The discussion revealed that Arachne was notorious for cruelty, controlling victims through poison and web-like abilities. Furthermore, those under her influence could be forced to awaken special powers against their will. Kira explained that her own blessing had awakened naturally through intense training. Shichiku realized their distribution seemed completely random, much like a game of chance. The group learned that Arachne tortured talented victims and turned them into puppets after forcing their powers to awaken. Fortunately, one survivor escaped that fate decades ago, leaving behind a warning about Arachne's cruelty. As the story unfolded, Shichiku grew increasingly disturbed by the suffering inflicted across the world. Meanwhile, uncertainty remained because the Demon King was gone. Everyone agreed that swift action was necessary before Arachne launched her next move. After hearing the report, Kira worried that waiting any longer would give Arachne time to act. Before military forces could be organized, Shichiku suddenly proposed attacking the enemy immediately, especially when he appeared nervous, despite speaking so confidently. The truth soon became clear as his excitement came from wanting to complete the mission as quickly as possible. Ida struggled to understand the speedrunner logic that was driving Shichiku's enthusiasm. Confident in his speedrunning experience, Shichiku claimed that defeating Arachne would take less than 15 minutes. Although the estimate sounded absurd, he insisted that careful preparation would make the operation possible. To put the plan into action, Shichiku requested Kira's assistance for the mission. Without hesitation, Ida encouraged her to trust his judgment, despite the unusual proposal. After some reluctance, Kira accepted and reaffirmed the promise of friendship she had made earlier. The moment a plan was agreed upon, Shichiku rushed off to gather equipment. Far away at Arachne Castle, the demon noticed intruders and grew suspicious of recent activity around her domain. After dealing with a captured scout, she became increasingly interested in the mysterious otherworld hero. Arachne decided she wanted to turn him into one of her puppets. Meanwhile, Shichiku hurried through the city while his companions struggled to keep up. An old warrior's teachings explained that defeating overwhelming strength was rare but possible. Those lessons stressed that equipment and preparation often determined victory before battle began. Near an abandoned mine, the group completed preparations. While signs of relentless training covered the area, unexpected changes ruined familiar methods of obtaining rare ore, leaving everyone uncertain. Further inspection showed the crystals were valuable decorations, yet unsuitable for combat, forcing a reassessment of their usefulness. Aya 2, headed Orthrus suddenly emerged from the darkness, blocking the group's path during their nighttime journey. Without hesitation, the racer stepped forward and struck the monster with a simple wooden stick. Relief spread through the area as the unexpected encounter ended almost immediately. Watching the scene, the knight struggled to comprehend how such a powerful creature had fallen so easily. Amazement lingered among the party, while the racer calmly continued ahead. After defeating the Orthrus, the knight advised collecting its magic stone. Surprise spread across the group when they realized the racer had ignored valuable drops from previous battles. Concern followed as the knight recalled reckless actions against powerful monsters despite the racer's low level. Rather than argue, he calmly approached the fallen beast and prepared a demonstration. Moments later, the pulsing magic stone emerged, revealing why ordinary rules rarely applied to him. The racer crushed the magic stone, causing a brilliant light to burst across the area. Fragments floated upward before vanishing completely, leaving behind an unexpected result. Confusion appeared among the onlookers as he calmly displayed what remained. Instead of celebrating, he explained the real issue behind the reward. A lengthy acquisition sequence consumed valuable seconds, making level gains undesirable for someone focused solely on speedrunning efficiency. The racer explained that collecting magic stones had become a habit he abandoned to save precious seconds during runs. Meanwhile, the cat-eared adventurer tried to understand his reasoning. A brief exchange stirred old memories, causing the knight to notice a familiar warmth in another companion. Attention shifted back to the mission, as preparations for the Arachne subjugation resumed. Upon reaching the Adventurers Guild, the party received recognition for securing valuable magic stones. At the guild, the staff introduced a special purifier, designed to process collected magic stones safely. Next, the stones were placed inside the machine and mixed with a crystallization solution. During the explanation, the party learned that monsters formed when creatures absorbed excessive miasma. As the purifier operated, the harmful miasma was removed, making the stones safe for human use. Soon afterward, the process was complete, allowing the racer to gain several levels at once. After gaining levels, the racer complained that the lengthy leveling sequence wasted far too much time. Soon afterward, the knight decided to evaluate his abilities and determine what strengths he possessed. Ancient legends described heroes receiving special blessings meant to aid them against the Demon King. She prepared to reveal information that had been overlooked earlier. Unease appeared on the racer's face as everyone gathered, eagerly waiting to learn his hidden abilities, revealing that the newly summoned hero appeared to possess no special skills at all. Disappointment spread quickly as expectations collapsed and comparisons to legendary heroes began to surface. Meanwhile, the racer accepted the result, believing he was merely an ordinary adventurer with a wooden stick. Confusion followed when unfamiliar symbols appeared, leaving the group unable to understand their meaning. Knight realized those strange characters represented a skill never recorded in this world. The knight carefully copied the mysterious symbols, while the racer struggled to recognize the unfamiliar writing. Once completed, the translated text left him stunned by its strange and seemingly meaningless contents. Questions quickly filled his mind as he wondered whether the hidden skill was connected to an unknown game exploit. Knight announced her intention to challenge Arachne alone. Alarm spread through the room as the others learned she planned to proceed without official approval. Kira remained determined to face Arachne alone and keep the threat away from the capital. Doubts persisted because the hero's abilities remained unknown, while their only notable resource was a rare scale ore. After observing him for days, Kira admitted she still could not understand his intentions. Nevertheless, the racer revealed he already had a plan and believed teamwork would secure victory. Attention shifted as he began outlining a special strategy for confronting Arachne. Rather than worrying about levels, the racer proposed solving the problem with money. Instead, though they quickly realized powerful mercenary parties could be hired, unfortunately, the value of their scale ore was far below the cost of recruiting elite adventurers. Another obstacle emerged when using guild funds risked attracting unwanted attention from influential figures. A confident smile appeared as the racer revealed a secret plan and asked everyone to remain silent. Curiosity mixed with unease as the group waited to see the mysterious otherworldly method the racer mentioned. He requested only a shining scale ore and an ordinary slingshot. Without further explanation, the racer repeatedly equipped and unequipped the ore while manipulating the slingshot. Bewilderment spread across the room as everyone watched the bizarre procedure unfold. Suddenly, he stopped and calmly declared success, leaving the others even more confused than before. The racer revealed that he had successfully created a ghost slingshot through an unusual inventory manipulation trick. Next, he explained that removing the scale ore under specific conditions altered the item's state. Moments later, countless copies of the valuable ore spilled across the table. He celebrated the sudden fortune and proposed selling the duplicates. Shock quickly turned into panic as the group struggled to comprehend the absurd exploit he had discovered. Examining the duplicated ores, the knight confirmed that every copy appeared completely genuine and usable. Concern followed as the group considered the consequences such wealth could have on the market. Gradually, the knight accepted that his strange knowledge came from a world far beyond her understanding. With preparations settled, determination returned as the party focused on defeating Arachne the following day. A speedrunner arrived at the Merchant Guild and dumped 999 shining scale ores onto the counter for exchange. Inside the headquarters, the receptionist noticed the massive pile and froze in disbelief. After checking the ores, her appraisal confirmed they were genuine, leaving her unable to doubt the result. Panic spread across the staff as she demanded every available gold coin to complete the transaction. Meanwhile, the speedrunner realized the exchange was causing unexpected problems. The guild finally handed over 9,990 sen in gold coins, completing the massive exchange. Without hesitation, the speedrunner packed the money and left. Using equipment prepared earlier, he rushed toward the next step of his route. Behind him, his companions followed while trying to keep up with his constant movement. Soon, a message arrived from Marone, forcing the group to consider an unexpected development in the plan. A message revealed that a powerful rank party had arrived at the North Plaza, drawing the speedrunners' attention. Soon, the famous Silver Dragon Fang party appeared, causing excitement to spread through the crowded square. People gathered around the group, eager to witness the legendary adventurers in person. Meanwhile, the party's arch sorcerer introduced herself, and quickly turned the attention into business. Rather than enjoying the admiration, the members charged fees for autographs, handshakes. Speedrunner concluded that the famous adventurers resembled performers more than heroes. Soon, the leader of Silver Dragon Fang asked whether anyone knew the whereabouts of the otherworld hero. News spread that the hero had recently been summoned, and the party intended to recruit him. Oz people praised the hero's future achievements, excitement filled the plaza, and expectations continued to grow. Unexpectedly, the speedrunner found the S-rank adventurers standing directly behind him. The crowd panicked when a suspicious figure suddenly appeared, causing people to believe a monster had attacked the plaza. Realizing the danger, but their disguises had already been exposed. Wolf Warrior struck them down while the sorcerer sealed the situation with overwhelming force. Once the imposters were defeated, the real Silver Dragon Fang revealed themselves and assessed the disturbance. After restoring order, the sorcerer approached the shaken young man. The elderly woman thanked the S-rank party and the speedrunner for exposing the imposters before more harm could be done. Party leader questioned how she had seen through the monsters' disguises. He explained that revealing monsters in a crowded plaza could have caused even greater panic. She admitted that fear always overwhelmed her whenever monsters appeared before her. Leader realized that someone without combat experience had been forced to survive through fear alone, promising that the Demon King would be defeated alongside the summoned hero. Afterward, the adventurers admitted that the newly summoned hero was still far from meeting their expectations. Their leader confidently remarked that the hero would not have a chance to stand beside them yet. Meanwhile, the speedrunner continued racing toward Arachne's castle, while his companions struggled to keep pace. Rather than slowing down, turning the journey into an even more absurd sprint. While running, the speedrunner explained that continuous cartwheels could greatly increase movement speed when performed correctly. Drawing from experience, he noted that many runners injured themselves by repeatedly using the technique. He revealed that non-stop cartwheels were considered too dangerous and banned in speedruns. Meanwhile, one of his companions quietly observed his unusual behavior during the journey. The longer she traveled with him, the more difficult she found him to understand. Kira caused a commotion in the royal castle, while desperately trying to stay beside her friend, Princess Ida. She boldly insisted that their friendship mattered more than formal status. Soon, the chief priest reminded everyone that Ida carried the burden of becoming the world's future savior. Ida was forced into constant training and had little freedom as a child. After witnessing Ida's harsh treatment, Kira became convinced that the princess was being unfairly mistreated. The priests justified Ida's suffering as necessary preparation for summoning the otherworld hero. According to their beliefs, the ritual could only occur once every 100 years and could not be allowed to fail. They viewed the summoned hero as humanity's only hope against the Demon King's invasion. Even so, Kira questioned whether sacrificing Ida's happiness was truly acceptable. She condemned everyone for placing their hopes on a stranger while burdening Ida alone. Unable to accept the priest's reasoning, Kira angrily demanded that the kingdom stop placing its hopes on a single child. Chief Priest challenged her to take responsibility herself if she disagreed so strongly. With cold confidence, he dismissed her as someone lacking the talent needed to protect the world. The insult only strengthened Kira's determination instead of discouraging her. Moments later, she grabbed a sword, shocking everyone who witnessed her response. Refusing to surrender, Kira swore that she would surpass every swordsman, defeat the Demon King, and protect Ida herself. Tears filled her eyes as she begged everyone to stop mistreating her closest friend. She abandoned her beloved music and devoted herself entirely to swordsmanship. Years passed, bringing unmatched skill, powerful equipment, and recognition throughout the kingdom. Despite all her achievements, she still could not free Ida from her endless training. Despite the Demon King's defeat, Kira realized that Ida's struggle had never truly come to an end. Having gained immense strength, she finally understood how naivete her childhood views had been. Her wish remained unchanged as she continued searching for a way to ease Ida's burden. Meanwhile, she noticed the speedrunner moving far ahead and hurried after him through the city. Kira questioned why someone so capable refused to join an S-rank party. When Kira suggested joining an S-rank party, the speedrunner immediately rejected the idea without hesitation. His answer left her speechless, while his companion quietly admitted she had expected that response. At the same time, the Silver Dragonfang party confirmed that they had no intention of appearing for recruitment. Confused by his refusal, Kira chased after him through the streets, determined to learn his real reason. 50 years earlier, life moved peacefully in Tadanka village on the outskirts of the capital. Lauren spent her days helping others and caring for her family. Meanwhile, her younger sister Norin recovered from a recent illness and eagerly prepared to accompany her. Together, the sisters planned a trip to the nearby mountains to gather wild berries. Before their departure, a villager warned them about monsters recently seen near the area. As the sisters left the village, neighbors called out with warm praise. Several villagers offered reminders and advice, urging caution while also joking about Norin's energetic habits. The pair headed toward the mountains to gather berries before sunset. Along the forest path, Norin brought up stories of the legendary hero whose adventures she had studied. Dreams of distant lands filled her thoughts as she imagined visiting the remarkable places described in those old records. Norin excitedly spoke about gaining a special blessing that could help her become strong enough for great adventures. Lauren listened as her sister explained that divine gifts granted unique abilities to certain people. Confidence filled Norin as she imagined training hard and overcoming every challenge that awaited her, who quietly pointed out how much time would pass before such dreams could come true. Their discussion ended abruptly when an unfamiliar smell drifted through the air. A strange odor led the sisters to a cliff, where they witnessed a horrifying scene unfolding in the village below. Flames spread between houses while giant spiders roamed the streets. Shock overwhelmed Norin as she struggled to accept the destruction happening before her eyes. Suddenly, a massive spider appeared nearby and turned its attention toward the two sisters. Its gaze fixed on them before it advanced. Having finally discovered new prey, fear consumed the sisters as the giant spider selected them as offerings. Inside its nest, captives were examined one by one while the creature searched for individuals with useful abilities. Bound within thick webs, Lauren became the spider's next target as it prepared another cruel test. A failed result led to a brutal fate, leaving Lauren gravely injured before her sister's eyes, her scream echoing through the nest as despair overwhelmed her. Years later, her memories dragging her back to the day she lost Norin. Tears fell as she realized nothing had changed, and the pain of that tragedy still remained. She struggled to calm herself while the haunting memories lingered. Elsewhere, a determined woman fixed her gaze forward, preparing for a mission of her own. At the ruins of former Tadanka village, now known as Spider's Highway, a new journey quietly began. Group entered the ruins that had remained untouched since Arachne's attack 50 years earlier. Scattered belongings and preserved structures suggested the area had barely changed despite the passage of time. Abandoned tools and personal items lay where they had been dropped. A painful memory surfaced as Kira quietly recalled someone connected to that forgotten tragedy. Soon after, the group spotted a lone figure ahead and hurried forward to catch up with him. Their guide explained that the area remained the most dangerous part of the route. A swarm of giant spiders emerged and surrounded the travelers from every direction, but the guide stopped her before she could draw them into battle. The others questioned how he intended to overcome such overwhelming numbers. Instead of fighting, he calmly chose a faster path forward, determined to pass through the swarm without wasting time. Trusting the guide's instructions, the group charged directly into the swarm and attempted to match his movements, explained the spider's predictable attack patterns and led the others through narrow openings between them. As more monsters closed in from behind, the route became increasingly dangerous. He scattered gold coins across the ground, while continuing to run. The spiders immediately abandoned their pursuit, allowing the group to escape without a single battle. After clearing Spider's Highway, the guide treated the escape as a routine success, especially when he showed little reaction to the ruined village around them. Kira began to suspect that he viewed the entire conflict through a completely different perspective than everyone else. To him, defeating Arachne appeared to be nothing more than a challenge measured by speed and efficiency. Meanwhile, a bell rang as an important gathering was called. Deep within the Demon King's domain, a summons echoed through the throne hall as powerful rulers gathered before their fallen king. With cold determination, she demanded the head of the otherworldly hero as an offering to their cause. Shichiku's team was mining shining scale ores while he quietly observed the situation. Meanwhile, the Demon King's Elite Four gathered around a round table. Through the Gate of Purgatory, Arachne arrived using a transportation spell that connected the Elite Four's bases. Across the room, one member noticed her late arrival and mocked her slow pace. Raspy teased Arachne's poor memory while Brahms calmly watched the exchange as the meeting finally began. Arachne grew irritated as Raspy mocked her age and compared her to a child. Brahms quietly watched while Raspy continued the teasing, making the insult even harsher anger. quickly boiled over, and Arachne fired back with a sharp insult of her own. Before the argument could escalate further, Morphamut silenced the room. The mood immediately shifted when she revealed the reason for the gathering. The Demon King had lost the Dark Sunday. Morphamut suddenly broke into tears and announced that the Demon King had died. She mourned losing her father while Brahms reflected on the shocking news. Confused by the others' calm reactions, she demanded to know why nobody was crying. After Raspi awkwardly joined the crying, Morphamut revealed that humans had acted the previous day. The meeting fell silent when she explained that a newly summoned hero had defeated the Demon King on the same day. Refusing to believe that the Demon King could have been defeated so quickly, Arachne lost her patience and grabbed Raspi, convinced the reaction was mocking the tragedy. After calming down, she admitted that even she found the news difficult to accept. Determined to prove the truth, Arachne prepared a way to reveal the final moments. She summoned the Eye of the Dead, an artifact capable of replaying events before death. The Elite Four gathered around the artifact and watched as the Eye of the Dead began revealing the Demon King's final moments. To their surprise, a nearly naked young man appeared inside the vision. Shock spread through the room as they realized the stranger was the recently summoned hero. Moments later, but the hero became distracted by a small creature. Despite the confusion, every strike missed him as he effortlessly avoided the assault. Recording left the Elite Four stunned as the Demon King appeared to fall after only a few exchanges. Their disbelief deepened when the hero revealed that his weapon was nothing more than a wooden stick. The observers struggled to accept what they were witnessing. Arachne slowly realized the outcome was real, and her confidence began to fade. She bitterly concluded that her father had been slain in an absurdly simple manner within minutes. Morphamut swore vengeance against the otherworld hero who had killed and humiliated her father. Seeing her outburst, Arachne realized she had something important to discuss. Without hesitation, Morphamut demanded any information related to the hero's identity and abilities. Attention soon turned to Arachne, whose powers made her the most likely source of useful knowledge. She admitted that even with her abilities, she knew nothing about the mysterious hero. Arachne walked through the halls while thinking about the hero who had changed everything. A dangerous ambition soon took shape, as she decided to obtain the otherworld hero's mysterious power. Rather than seeking revenge alone, she imagined removing rivals and securing greater influence for herself. An even bolder plan followed when she considered turning the hero into her personal puppet. He believed she alone could control the overwhelming power he possessed. Arachne became fascinated by a legendary defensive skill called Karna Kavacha. The power could block nearly every physical and magical attack directed at its user. One limitation remained, however, as the skill could still be overcome by the hero's strongest spear. Memories of serving under the Demon King deepened her desire to change her fate and seize authority. Consumed by ambition, Arachne envisioned herself becoming the next Demon King and ruling without opposition. Filled with excitement, Arachne hurried through her castle while wondering what her subordinates had discovered. Halfway down the stairs, she ordered them to bring the otherworld hero to her immediately. Heavy tremors shook the building as several unexpected visitors appeared inside the castle. To her shock, the hero stood among them and calmly greeted everyone before she could make a move. At the Demon King's castle, the speedrunners' party encountered Arachne, an elite guardian blocking their progress. Her identity quickly became clear, revealing a dangerous opponent far stronger than ordinary enemies. Before the battle, he outlined a strategy, warning that swarms of small spiders would attack first. Doubt emerged as the group compared Arachne's power to monsters they had already defeated. Drawing from experience, the speedrunner realized the world's difficulty had increased. Concern spread through the party as the speedrunner revealed that his plan had already accounted for the current situation. According to his strategy, defeating Arachne required eliminating weaker monsters first. To support that approach, he specifically brought Kira along for the battle ahead. Moments later, the group advanced toward the staircase where Arachne calmly awaited their arrival. Rather than retreating, the speedrunner stepped forward and prepared to confront the elite guardian directly. As the confrontation began, Arachne noticed the new companions standing beside the speedrunner and his party. Without hesitation, she activated a strange ability intended to turn everyone present into obedient puppets. Dark spheres struck Kira directly, causing the attack to take effect immediately. Moments later, Kira's body trembled uncontrollably before collapsing onto the floor as the party watched in shock. Confusion spread across the battlefield when the speedrunner realized he remained alive. Kira stood frozen in place, unable to move her body after being struck by Arachne's strange attack, concluded that an unlikely status effect had triggered at the very start of the battle. Arachne mocked the party and released swarms of spiders to increase the pressure. He switched to a backup plan and ordered Danya to eliminate the smaller enemies. Speedrunner believed a special potion would provide Danya with just enough strength to continue the fight. While Danya fought through the spider swarm, Arachne remained confident that the resistance would ultimately fail. Danya destroyed groups of enemies and steadily cleared the battlefield. Ida watched the struggle unfold and realized her companion was still fighting, despite the danger. Fear continued to grip her as Arachne stood nearby, yet the battle's outcome remained uncertain. Gradually, Ida gathered her resolve and questioned whether staying down was truly the right choice. Tears filled Kira's eyes as she reflected on her efforts and entrusted the battle's outcome to Shishiku. Meanwhile, Shishiku stepped forward and asked everyone to watch carefully. Despite the lingering effects of the stun, he revealed that this confrontation marked the final stage of his plan to defeat Arachne. Arachne activated an absolute defensive skill that rendered her immune to all attacks. Rather than panicking, Shishiku listened as Arachne boasted about her invincibility. Without warning, Arachne was struck in the face by a flying object, disrupting her confidence. Nearby, Danya watched in confusion as the unexpected hit landed, despite Arachne's perfect defense. Shishiku then revealed a large collection of coins and prepared the next step of his strategy, explained that Arachne's skill only blocked actions recognized as attacks. Unlike swords or magic, coin throwing was treated differently by the game's system. Shishiku explained that coin throwing could be exploited as a special action. While continuously throwing coins, he revealed that defeating her normally would require a lengthy preparation process. Unable to retaliate effectively, Arachne grew increasingly frustrated as the unusual tactic kept wearing her down. Meanwhile, Danya blocked the approaching spiders and protected Shishiku from interference. At last, Arachne's anger erupted as she abandoned her composure and vowed to eliminate everyone before her. Coins continued striking Arachne, steadily pushing her closer to defeat despite her powerful defensive ability. While maintaining the barrage, Shishiku explained that preventing her second transformation was the key to victory. Arachne desperately searched for a chance to transform. Confusion spread among the stunned spectators as a supposedly terrifying boss was reduced to struggling against thrown coins. Kira watched in disbelief and began to understand the unusual method Shishiku used to overcome Arachne. As the battle continued, Kira realized that Shishiku showed no fear toward Arachne, despite her overwhelming reputation. He remained focused on a single objective: defeating the enemy as quickly as possible. To everyone watching, his relentless determination revealed the true mindset of a speedrunner. Standing amid a shower of coins, Shishiku continued his strategy, without hesitation. Meanwhile, Kira could only smile helplessly as she accepted how absurd yet effective his approach truly was. Danya's fire magic suddenly weakened, and she realized her mana reserves were nearly exhausted after prolonged fighting. A large group of spiders rushed toward her, sensing an opportunity to overwhelm their opponent. Fear crossed her face, yet she tightened her grip and prepared herself for one final effort. Before the spiders could reach her, Kira launched a powerful technique. Moments later, the attack continued, tearing across the battlefield, clearing a path, continued cutting through the remaining spiders, and declared that she would handle the enemies surrounding the battlefield. Shishiku calmly continued the final phase of his strategy against Arachne. With only one hit remaining, he prepared the last coin needed to finish the battle. Arachne abandoned her pride and desperately begged for her life while enduring the relentless barrage. Shishiku recalled the tragedy behind Arachne's past and listened to the reason for her desperate plea. Ignoring Arachne's desperate pleas, Shishiku remained focused on his goal and declared that time mattered more than anything else. With Arachne defeated, Shishiku completed the encounter and stopped the timer, successfully finishing his speedrun strategy. A giant spider, like boss, unleashed a powerful attack, while the girl stood beneath its shadow. Unexpectedly, the skill backfired and the creature perished instead, leaving only a skeleton behind. Across the hall, the party stared at the outcome as the blue-haired runner confirmed the battle had ended. Afterward, he reviewed the run and examined several mistakes that wasted valuable time. Suddenly, the castle trembled violently, forcing everyone to face a new threat. Remembering a forgotten item, the group prepared an emergency escape as the castle continued to shake. Danya activated the travel tool and instantly transported everyone away from the collapsing structure. Far from the castle, monsters emerged and spread chaos across the surrounding area. Soon, the party arrived in the capital and appeared near the Adventurers Guild. A guild member noticed them at once and rushed over, shocked to see Danya safely return. Adventurer revealed a rare escape item and explained how he managed to survive the crisis. Confusion spread when the blue-haired runner showed no urgency about the dangerous boss everyone feared. Meanwhile, his companions realized the entire battle had taken only a short time, far earlier than expected. Faced with growing concern, he finally revealed the outcome of the mission. Across the capital, news quickly spread that Arachne had already been defeated. Several demons reviewed news of Arachne's unexpected defeat and mocked the fallen commander. They dismissed the result as a fitting end for someone who relied on borrowed power. Meanwhile, one observer remained thoughtful and paid close attention to the details behind the battle. Questions soon arose about how the hero discovered Arachne's weakness so quickly after arriving. Considering every possibility, he suspected the hero fought with experience gained through countless repetitions. While reviewing the battle, the demon questioned whether the hero truly defeated Arachne through a simple weakness. He found the explanation difficult to accept and continued searching for another answer. Soon, he stopped making assumptions and chose to wait for more reliable information. Nevertheless, the hero was recognized as a dangerous threat capable of disrupting demon plans. Meanwhile, another demon became increasingly interested, believing the mystery extended far beyond a wooden weapon. After the exhausting battle, the hero finally woke up and realized he had slept much longer than expected. A strange noise outside his room drew his attention just as visitors arrived to check on him. He accidentally appeared half-dressed and shocked everyone present. Confusion spread as he searched desperately for a missing item from his original world. Eventually, the situation calmed down and he apologized before joining the others at the table. After waking up, the hero confirmed he had truly arrived in the world of another verse. While reviewing the timeline, he explained how quickly he defeated major enemies within only a few days. Soon, his attention shifted to the knight's unusual outfit, which reminded him of content from a game expansion. Noticing his exhaustion, she encouraged him to stop worrying. Finally, she revealed the real reason for her visit and waited for his reaction. The knight nervously asked whether her new appearance seemed strange compared to how she usually dressed. Without hesitation, the hero assured her that the outfit looked completely natural and suited her well. Hearing the compliment, she became flustered and struggled to hide her reaction. Soon, the conversation shifted as the group decided to spend the pleasant day exploring the city. Meanwhile, the knight quietly watched the hero while walking beside him. While exploring the city, the knight found herself paying unusual attention to the hero's appearance. She tried to focus on more important matters and regain her composure. Meanwhile, recent events reminded the group how differently the hero reacted to situations. Others found shocking. Gradually, her concern turned into suspicion as she began imagining a deeper connection between certain companions. The hero remained unaware while the knight struggled with her growing confusion. While walking through the capital, the hero attracted attention after a child recognized him from recent rumors. Unfortunately, the misunderstanding spread quickly, causing nearby residents to repeat an embarrassing nickname. Soon, a crowd gathered around him and treated him like a local celebrity. As more people arrived, news of Arachne's defeat became the center of discussion. Before long, excited children surrounded the hero, leaving him overwhelmed by unexpected popularity. While enjoying the attention from the townspeople, the hero noticed his companions reacting differently to the unexpected situation. Later, the group visited a small house in the refugee district. After receiving an important lead, mysterious resident welcomed them and revealed an item recovered from Arachne. Upon examining the object, the hero immediately realized it could be connected to someone significant. Soon, the clue pointed toward a missing relative whose fate remained unknown. The hooded woman revealed that Arachne had killed her sister. Holding the recovered item, she finally accepted that the tragedy had truly come to an end. Relief replaced grief as she expressed heartfelt gratitude toward the hero for resolving the matter. She watched the group depart while carrying a renewed sense of peace. Meanwhile, the knight gained a new perspective and recognized a more compassionate side of the hero. After discussing the completed subquest, the hero explained that its reward was minor. Even so, he decided to keep pursuing the matter because the item belonged to a grieving woman. His reasoning caught the others off guard, leaving them briefly unsure how to respond. Later, the group arrived at the Adventurers Guild, where an upset receptionist confronted the hero. Frustration quickly surfaced as she complained about handling the dangerous mission without proper support, explained how difficult the situation had become after the group left without notice. Relief soon replaced frustration as she learned that everyone had returned safely from the mission. However, an urgent message from the capital arrived, demanding a response regarding Arachne's defeat. Taking responsibility, the knight prepared an official report while deciding to conceal the hero's unusual abilities. With the matter settled, she encouraged the pair to enjoy the remainder of their day. He and Danya continued walking through the quiet streets alone for the first time. After a long silence, Danya gathered her thoughts and decided to address something she had been holding back. Lowering his head, the hero apologized for placing her in danger during the battle against Arachne. Despite understanding the risks, he admitted that the situation had nearly gone wrong. Danya reassured him that everything unfolded as planned and nobody was harmed, questioned why the hero treated the world so seriously, despite calling it a game. She softened the conversation and admitted she was only teasing him. Rather than doubting him, Danya revealed that she had trusted his judgment during the dangerous mission. With a smile, she asked him to keep meeting those expectations in the future. Hearing his name spoken by her for the first time, the hero froze in surprise. While reflecting on Danya's words, the hero quietly concealed the thoughts running through his mind. Suddenly armed soldiers surrounded the pair and interrupted their peaceful walk through the capital. Without understanding the situation, the hero was identified and ordered to accompany the guards immediately. Before tensions could rise further, a noblewoman stepped forward and clarified his status as an honored guest. Moments later, her appearance brought the confrontation to an abrupt end. As the noblewoman approached, Danya immediately noticed something unusual and reacted with visible confusion. Ada Falshala, the kingdom's sole princess, holds overwhelming holy power, revered as a being near divine. Within Falshala Castle, her presence shapes the capital, where authority and faith quietly revolve around her existence. Inside the tower, a small group approaches the princess, their visit guided through guarded halls and silent watch. Guards are dismissed as she asserts control, allowing only selected companions to remain beside her. Soon, an anomaly appears revealing two identical existences overlapping. The boy analyzes the situation, realizing the world behaves like a manipulated system. An unknown bug reveals itself inside the tower, as the girl notices inconsistencies that should not exist within normal logic. Companion drops her act, exposing awareness that disrupts the expected flow of events. Without warning, the princess shifts form violently, her presence changing into something overwhelming and unnatural. Relaxing afterward, recognizing the connection between identities and the one the boy favors, his composure breaking under the weight of a truth he cannot ignore. The girl reveals the seated figure as Ain, exposing a connection between the princess. The boy confusion spreads, while the system's logic collapses, as knowledge of the world fails to explain the presence before them. Memories surface within the boy, yet none match the anomaly, now standing in front of him. The truth becomes clear, as the entity declares itself non-existent, exposing the hero's origin, revealing a disgraced noble whose actions led to an illegitimate bloodline tied to the royal family. Neglected and unrecognized, the child grows in isolation until secretly accepted as a substitute for the princess, choosing comfort over hardship, preferring life within the castle over the struggles outside. While the boy questions why such truth was never known despite his knowledge, doubt deepens as the situation defies logic, marking the hero as an irregular existence within the system. Princess begins revealing hidden events, pointing out how the boy completed an impossible feat within days. Discussion shifts to politics, where his rapid victory causes unrest among officials and disrupts planned agendas. Attention turns to the Wise Sages Congress, a powerful group influencing decisions. Memories from another record confirm their existence, exposing restrictions placed on the hero to limit his actions. Concern grows among certain members, as his abnormal success unsettles those aware of the truth. Concern spreads among observers as the rapid subjugation triggers suspicion, forcing the Wise Sages Congress to react immediately. Realizing his actions are being redirected to serve another's hidden objective, Ain steps forward as the princesses stand, intent on uncovering the full truth beyond what others can perceive. Pressure builds as the girl urges him to reveal everything, including details from before his summoning. Tension rises as a warning follows, preparing him to face an unsettling and unexpected reality. Ain calmly listens, showing no surprise as the truth begins to surface, her composure steady despite the implications. Sudden shock breaks her expression when she learns the Demon King has already been defeated, describing a speedrun-like outcome that contradicts the world's natural progression. Confusion spreads as others struggle to accept the abnormal result. Realizing such an event should be impossible, regaining control, Ain decides to manage the aftermath, choosing to handle the political consequences personally. Suspicion remains as Ain refuses to fully trust the boy, unsettled by the unnatural speed. Attention shifts to the outskirts, where land once ruled by monsters becomes the focus of a rebuilding plan. With the threat gone, opening the possibility for restoration through his speedrunning ability, a broader strategy forms, aiming to prevent future dangers while attracting settlers. Confidence grows in his abilities, as the plan relies heavily on his unmatched speed to complete the task quickly. Ain proposes a short deadline, testing the boy with a task far beyond normal expectations. Doubt fills the room as rebuilding a village so quickly seems impossible. Behind her calm expression, she plans carefully, intending to observe his limits, while others prepare the foundation. The challenge becomes deliberate, designed to measure his true nature while keeping him occupied. Confidence remains in her tone as she urges him to proceed, unconcerned whether he succeeds or fails, expecting proper walls, housing, and prepared land to restore the ruined village. The task is framed as part of a larger progression, where speedrunning could bypass normal limits and complete it efficiently, comparing it to past feats and treating it as another objective to clear. After brief thought, he estimates an absurdly short time, revealing confidence far beyond expectations. Shock immediately follows, as Ain reacts with disbelief, unable to accept such a casual answer. Ain reacts strongly, rejecting the absurd timeframe and emphasizing how rebuilding should take years of effort. The girl interrupts firmly, silencing the argument while defending the hero chosen to save the world. Calm authority returns as she urges reflection, forcing Ain to reconsider her harsh judgment. Realization settles in, understanding her reaction was driven by emotion. Tension eases as the girl explains the concern behind Ain's behavior, offering an apology to restore balance. She points out his strange habits, listing unusual actions that make him difficult to fully trust. Despite doubts, she admits his speedrunning ability is reliable, believing he can accomplish what he claims, reassuring Ain while acknowledging his odd nature does not make him dangerous. Ain quietly accepts the explanation, though lingering uncertainty remains about his unpredictable behavior. With a plan set, the boy prepares to act, aiming to complete the task swiftly the following day. Shichiku proposes visiting the site directly, while Ain mentions her duties, leaving the task to him, giving him freedom to act while planning to observe the outcome later. Thoughts deepen as he questions the existence of entities that should not appear within the known system. Him to reconsider the world as something more real than a simple game structure. Realization forms as he identifies unknown variables, understanding that such elements threaten any planned route. Shichiku reflects on uncertainty, hoping his plan will succeed, despite growing doubts about unexpected changes. Meanwhile, danger rises at the village ruins, as monsters appear and a powerful spell reshapes the battlefield. An elite party stands ready, their strength evident as they confront threats surrounding the area. The group maintains control, noting the increasing monster presence while continuing their defense. News arrives that the otherworld hero will soon appear, shifting attention toward the coming encounter. Party questions the hero's sudden success, uncertain how such a powerful enemy was defeated so quickly. Shifting their role from support to closely observing the hero's actions, plans are made to meet him, intending to evaluate his abilities and understand his true nature. A warning emerges as a nearby presence signals the approach of another strong threat. Tension spikes instantly when the wolf reacts, triggering a sudden detection that reveals danger closing in. A strange slime appears near the ruins, drawing the party's attention as it moves with unnatural behavior. Without warning, a sudden strike lands, disrupting the formation and forcing an immediate reaction. Confusion rises when the creature shows intelligence, speaking and analyzing its surroundings while evading attacks. Its true form emerges, revealing a humanoid figure controlling the slime with precision. The battle intensifies as attacks narrowly miss, exposing its weakness, while tension builds among the fighters. Creature mocks the group while regenerating, showing little concern for the damage it receives. Warrior demands power, preparing for a stronger counterattack as tension rises among the party. Meanwhile, the mage recalls her immense strength. Confident in her accumulated magic and experience, she unleashes overwhelming force, demonstrating power she has restrained for centuries. As the battle escalates, both fighters advance together, ready to confront the threat at full strength, framing the battle as something that demands everything from those involved. The creature consumes matter rapidly, recovering while asserting dominance through its unnatural ability. Analysis reveals its nature, identifying it as a dangerous entity fueled by accumulated energy and destructive intent. Unimpressed, it dismisses the world as predictable, showing boredom toward familiar patterns and known outcomes. Amid the aftermath, a marked object is discovered, hinting at a deeper connection to the royal authority. The slime entity reveals awareness of the hero, approaching while recognizing his presence as its true target. Meanwhile, the party senses danger as the creature shows intent to study and consume him. A mounted knight approaches a distant gate while observing the young man and his companions. As they ride across open land, the knight reflects on another figure's guarded nature. The group considers relationships around them, noting one person's rare openness and another's distant behavior. Unease grows as the young man senses something unfamiliar, questioning the nature of those around him. New party appears ahead, signaling arrival at a village and the start of another encounter. A camp stands quietly as a seasoned warrior introduces his party, identifying their rank. Inside the tent, outlining their roles while establishing authority within the group, offering support and confirming their mission to assist a hero from another world. A noble woman steps forward, revealing her lineage and status, while being recognized as an observer of the situation. Formality fades as she downplays her status, choosing to act simply as an adventurer among them, recalling their abilities and feeling relief seeing familiar figures from the game world. Inside the tent, a brief pause is broken as an energetic girl reacts excitedly upon meeting the otherworld hero for the first time. Hidden thoughts emerge as the girl's ability reveals her secret. Greed stirs within the hero, driven by desire for power, despite already possessing a strange but effective skill. Meanwhile, valuing him as something rare, while the party's reputation remains strong, presenting the summoned hero while attention shifts toward a quiet cat-eared girl, suddenly revealing her role as a cat mage and displaying an overly cheerful personality that surprises the hero. Reactions inside the tent grow warm as others praise her charm, while the beast companion observes calmly, unaware of her hidden nature. The group admires her openly, deepening the contrast between truth and appearance. The hero relaxes, sensing an unusual familiarity within her playful behavior. Inside the tent, hearing rumors of his unusual accomplishments, while he reacts modestly, he explains his actions simply, leaving her intrigued as she tries to understand his unfamiliar method. Interest deepens as she realizes his ability differs from known magic, linking it to her personal goal. She reaches out, seeking closer contact while the hero hesitates at her sudden approach. Curiosity turns intense as she firmly grabs him, determined to learn everything about his strange power, expressing interest in learning his unusual methods while he hesitates under the attention. Their hands meet suddenly, overwhelmed, yet eager to share everything about his techniques. The knight reacts sharply, pulling him back and warning against trusting someone he barely knows. Tension rises as the hero defends his decision, explaining his mindset and treating the situation like guiding a newcomer. He then reveals that speedrunning knowledge comes from collective effort. The hero reflects on speedrunning's limits, realizing fewer discoveries remain as routes become rigid and harder to improve. Sorceress observes him closely, proposing a different perspective that highlights the need for fresh ideas. Examples emerge showing newcomers achieving breakthroughs, proving that unexpected paths still exist. Excitement builds as the hero concludes that beginners are essential to unlocking faster routes. With determination, believing shared knowledge will push progress further. Knight reflects quietly after hearing the hero's explanation, while another reacts with unsettling thoughts about his unusual ability. The cat mage interrupts, though her playful action reveals lingering tension. Shachiku clarifies the risks, explaining that certain methods do not affect the true outcome, easing some concerns. As plans to begin training form, the cat mage insists on addressing something important. First, preparing for the next step as attention shifts toward a marked location nearby. The group stands in silence as the cat mage lowers her gaze, signaling a shift to a more serious moment together, honoring those lost and acknowledging the weight of the place. Afterward, while others comment on his surprising adaptability to the world, without delay, he moves forward and outlines the next step, pushing the group toward immediate action. With resolve, he declares the start of rebuilding, treating the task like a timed challenge. The group stares in confusion as the hero raises an unusual tool, disrupting expectations. The guidebook described Falshilla Dungeon, where dense miasma revived defeated monsters after a day. Party rushed through the first underground floor and followed the planned route. Using game knowledge, the speedrunner prioritized gathering materials needed to rebuild the speedrun key while ignoring unnecessary drops. Ahead of them, a frog-like monster appeared, drawing the group's attention as they continued deeper. Soon, forcing an immediate battle before it could interfere with their objective. The party ignored the pursuing monster and continued forward while the speedrunner stayed focused on the fastest route. According to his knowledge, the target was the mini-boss, on the 5th floor. Soon, they reached the destination much faster than expected, surprising the others once again. At the center of the chamber, a massive stone golem appeared and blocked their path. Shichiku identified it as a beginner trap with extremely high defense and health. He struck the stone golem with a strange rod, instantly destroying the massive enemy in a single hit. As the subquest ended, the party reacted with surprise while admiring the effectiveness of the unusual weapon. Afterward, valuable materials and a rare flower dropped from the defeated monster. Using the rewards, he planned to collect more resources needed for reconstruction. The group learned the dungeon would eventually revive its monsters. The party returned to the 4th floor where the speedrunner prepared a frying pan for the next step. He explained that cooking before a major battle would be useful. Instead of making food, he repeatedly equipped and unequipped the frying pan to trigger a system glitch. Soon, The strange process succeeded and placed him in an unusual state. Taking advantage of the bug, he transformed ordinary gold coins into cookable items. Speedrunner cooked a pile of gold coins, leaving the party completely confused. Moments later, the process produced a hidden item with missing graphics. Recognizing it as a meal, he immediately ate the mysterious object, despite everyone's concern. The strange action triggered an unexpected effect, causing the others to freeze in disbelief. Without explaining further, he rushed back toward the 5th floor to test the result on the next objective. Back on the 5th floor, the stone golem had already revived, exactly as the speedrunner expected. After eating the mysterious meal, he gained an effect that advanced time for defeated monsters without changing the dungeon timer. Using that advantage, he repeatedly defeated the golem and collected its rewards. Meanwhile, the party struggled to understand his complicated speedrunning explanation. 16 minutes later, the repeated farming produced every rare material needed for reconstruction. With the materials secured, the speedrunner decided it was time to return to the village using Metabi travel. Following his instructions, Danya activated the item and opened a teleportation route. Moments later, the entire party arrived at Tadanka village in an instant. After unloading the collected materials, he prepared the next stage of the plan. Leaving the supplies behind, the group set their sights on the capital of Fulshela. Using Metabi travel, once again, the party launched toward the capital. At incredible speed, the teleportation route cut across the landscape and carried them directly to their destination. Near the city gate, a guard noticed something unusual falling from the sky. At the same time, Danya crashed into an invisible barrier and dropped to the ground. While the commotion unfolded outside, the rest of the group arrived at the Adventurers Guild in capital Fulshela. Group noticed that Danya and 2 others had failed to appear with them. Ignoring the issue for the moment, the speedrunner headed straight to the Gnome Group headquarters in New Town. There, he requested workers for a reconstruction project, but the guild chief immediately rejected the proposal. Proud of the guild's achievements, the gnomes insisted their craftsmen only handled important work. Meanwhile, waiting for a chance to continue negotiations, refusing to give up, the speedrunner asked what conditions were needed to earn the guild's approval. In response, the guild chief demanded rare materials that were difficult to obtain from nearby dungeons. Without hesitation, the speedrunner presented an adamantine flower and impressed the gnome leader. Next, he revealed dwarven dice, silver fluorite, and a dragon claw opal one after another. Seeing every requested item already prepared, the guild chief was left completely stunned. Convinced by the rare materials, the guild chief finally approved the request and agreed to send workers. With the construction team secured, the speedrunner immediately prepared to return to Tadanka village. Moments after arriving, the group discovered a large building frame already standing on the site. Shock spread among the party as the structure appeared far ahead of schedule. The speedrunner explained that transporting materials during travel automatically triggered construction progress. While the gnomes handled construction, the speedrunner prepared a farmer's hoe recovered from the village ruins. He repeatedly plowed the same area to exploit the game's mechanics and gain time watching from afar. The others felt relieved that his actions finally seemed less bizarre than before. Soon afterward, Danya and the missing members returned from dealing with goblins near the village. By then, the construction project had already advanced into an impressive structure. He announced that only the gnomes' work remained before the village could be restored. When doubts arose about the schedule, he revealed another mysterious item he had prepared in advance. Without hesitation, he consumed the strange object and activated its hidden effect. A brief delay followed, as countless new construction tasks loaded into the system. Moments later, the restoration was completed, and the rebuilt Tadanka village stood before the astonished party. As the final buildings appeared, the restored village was completed before the party's eyes. With the objective finished, the speedrunner proudly declared the end of the restoration run. A completion record confirmed that the entire project had been cleared in only 28 minutes. Nearby, the exhausted gnomes rested after pushing through the intense construction work. Satisfied with the result, the speedrunner celebrated a time that surpassed his original estimate. After completing the restoration, the speedrunner reviewed the run and credited luck, item drops, and efficient farming routes. Unable to hold back any longer, she became fascinated by the strange techniques and exploits he casually described. His unusual ideas left an even stronger impression on the captivated witch. Near the royal castle, Ada observed the area around Tadanka village and focused on a distant location. Through a pair of binoculars, she spotted something unexpected and reacted with alarm. After receiving reports and orders regarding the village, concern quickly grew on her face. Realization struck as she connected the situation to a certain individual and confirmed her suspicion. Meanwhile, in Tadanka village, the speedrunner calmly enjoyed a meal after helping another world. While eating in Tadanka village, the witch realized the speedrunner already knew her identity. Soon after, he noticed someone staring from behind, causing her to panic and avoid attention. Caught off guard, she froze as he accurately guessed her current problem. Before long, a large feast was prepared, filling the table with dishes from across the village. Surprise spread among the group when they learned the speedrunner had cooked everything himself. Although the meal looked normal, the group remained suspicious of the speedrunner's cooking. To settle their doubts, an elderly gnome tasted the food first and quickly became impressed by its flavor. Meanwhile, the speedrunner predicted the gnomes would not cause trouble. After trying the dishes themselves, the others confirmed there was nothing unusual about the food. Soon afterward, a carriage arrived as attention shifted toward an important visitor entering the village. A royal carriage arrived in Tadanka village, drawing the attention of everyone gathered nearby. Moments later, Ada stepped out and immediately caught the speedrunner's attention. Seeing the village's condition, she confirmed that the otherworld hero had truly completed his task. Meanwhile, Kira formally welcomed Ada while observing her unexpected visit with curiosity. Soon afterward, Ada greeted Kira warmly, leaving the others surprised by their familiar relationship. Ada inspected the newly built structures and learned that the villagers and gnomes had completed the work properly. She remained cautious because the reconstruction had progressed far faster than expected. After confirming the results herself, Ada expressed sincere gratitude to the otherworld hero for restoring the village. Soon afterward, she revealed that another person needed to witness the outcome. From the carriage emerged an elderly villager, whose arrival immediately drew everyone's attention. The elderly villager looked around the rebuilt village and struggled to believe the familiar place had changed so much. While observing the hero, she suddenly sensed something unusual. Without warning, dark figures emerged nearby as a dangerous presence revealed itself. Immediately recognizing the threat, the old woman warned the hero just before the enemy struck. Reacting in time, Kira rushed forward, pulled the hero away, and blocked the powerful attack herself. Kira pushed the hero aside and focused on the source of the sudden attack. At the same time, the mysterious woman activated a hidden ability and prepared another strike. Moving at high speed, Kira closed the distance and landed a direct hit on her target. However, the enemy's core was damaged rather than destroyed, allowing her to remain standing. Moments later, Kira recognized the attacker as Raspy, a member of the Elite Four. The group quickly identified the attacker as Raspy, one of the Elite Four. While she appeared amused by the attention, meanwhile, Kira analyzed the situation and considered Raspy's connection to recent incidents and missing enemies. Soon after, Raspy casually admitted to devouring several members of the Silver Dragon Fang, rather than retreating. She complained that Kira's interference was preventing her from enjoying herself. With that, Raspy turned her attention toward Kira and prepared to continue the fight. Raspy seized a piece of Kira's equipment and decided to keep it as a trophy. Immediately afterward, she launched a barrage of attacks toward the group and forced everyone to react. As Kira moved to intercept, the black mass suddenly changed direction and targeted Ada instead. Kira shielded Ada from the attack, leaving Raspy confused by her choice. Moments later, Raspy abandoned the distraction and focused her attention on the otherworld hero. Raspy opened a massive portal and prepared to escape before anyone could stop her. While retreating, she threatened the group and seized the otherworld hero as her next target. Moments later, Raspy vanished into the swamp of starvation, taking Rinkun and a mysterious rod with her. Realization struck the hero when he recognized that these events never occurred in the original game. Without delay, the group urged Shishiku to give chase and rescue Rinkun. Shishiku immediately rejected the idea and remained hesitant, pointing out that such an attack should not have shocked someone with his experience. Meanwhile, the group concluded that the incident had fallen completely outside the events of the original route and began discussing preparations. Kira proposed using a body double, leaving the cat girl visibly frustrated by the suggestion. Silence followed as Shichiku considered the situation and struggled to reach a decision. Shachiku concluded that Raspy's appearance had disrupted the expected route, but still created an opportunity to win. Meanwhile, the cat girl proposed alternative strategies since recovering the stolen rod immediately seemed unlikely. Confidence returned as Shichiku finally agreed to rescue Ain-kun. Ada explained that reaching the swamp of starvation normally required crossing dangerous mountains filled with powerful monsters. Shichiku revealed a shortcut through the underground world that would reach the swamp in minutes. Shachiku revealed his underground shortcut plan, leaving both the cat girl and Ada completely stunned by the absurd idea. A sudden development left the blonde woman unsettled, despite her earlier confidence. Fear spread across her face as she struggled to understand the situation. Moments earlier, the group discussed reaching an underground area while assuming Ain was safe. Soon after, evidence revealed that Ain was actually the target, while the hostage served as a distraction. The truth became clear when two linked crystals were identified. Group learned the crystal had been prepared for emergencies, prompting them to act quickly. As they discussed the underground world, the blonde woman admitted it was the strangest event encountered so far. But the man explained that failure alone would trigger the feared disaster. He then outlined a plan to expose Ain-kun before a larger crisis could unfold, although the exact danger remained unclear. Everyone agreed there was no reason to delay any longer. The blonde woman regained her resolve and refused to let fear control her again. He enthusiastically treated the mission like a speedrun challenge. Without wasting time, he rushed toward the capital and led the others onward. Their destination proved to be the capital's slum entrance, known as the Rat's Den. Upon arrival, they discovered an underground district hidden beneath the slums and continued deeper into the darkness. The group entered the sewers, enduring the unpleasant environment as they moved forward. Only 3 minutes later, the man announced they had already reached their destination. Doubt spread among his companions since the route seemed unrelated to the swamp of starvation. He explained that mountains and monsters blocked the normal path, making travel extremely dangerous. Using knowledge of the underground world, he chose a hidden shortcut and prepared to climb a nearby wall. The man explained a strange wall clipping method and demonstrated the setup using a box. After positioning himself correctly, he performed the final movement and slipped through the wall. Shock spread across the group as he suddenly vanished to the other side. The cat-eared girl bravely followed and succeeded, leaving the blonde woman even more stunned. Faced with no alternative, the blonde woman struggled to gather her courage before attempting the unusual technique herself. Blonde woman entered a bizarre space filled with floating structures and invisible pathways. The man revealed that this hidden area existed beyond the game's normal world, still dizzy from the experience. She struggled to understand the explanation. A sudden misstep sent her falling, but the man quickly caught her before disaster struck. He then warned the group that gaps in the invisible floor could trap anyone in an endless fall. The warning about death left the two women frightened, but the man continued toward a shortcut ahead. A mistake caused one of them to lose balance and nearly fall. Realizing the danger was greater than expected, the man decided the group should move while holding hands. Linked together, they carefully crossed the hidden route through the strange underground world. Even then, the terrifying environment exceeded their expectations and kept everyone on edge. After several tense minutes, the group finally reached the next checkpoint. Their guide revealed a strange current hidden within the underground world and identified it as the fastest route forward. He explained that entering the flow would carry them directly to the swamp of starvation. The proposal alarmed both women, who struggled to trust such a reckless method. Despite their hesitation, the urgency of rescuing Ain forced the group to continue without delay. The group entered the strange current and was swept forward at tremendous speed through the hidden route. Moments later, they emerged near the southern base of the Dragon's Tail mountain range. Their sudden arrival startled a local shepherd, who noticed figures appearing from the water. Group confirmed that the underground shortcut had brought them much closer to the swamp of starvation. They noticed the shepherd calling out and checking on their condition. Spotting the shepherd, the man suddenly panicked and urged his companions to flee at once. Meanwhile, the confused shepherd watched them run and wondered what had caused such a reaction. As the group escaped, the blonde woman questioned the shepherd's identity and compared her to a suspicious anomaly. The shepherd appeared harmless, yet the shortcut had allowed them to bypass many intended locations. He concluded that interacting with her could trigger unexpected consequences. Confused by the explanation, the two women asked the man to describe the situation more clearly. He explained that strict hidden rules governed the world and that unusual actions could trigger serious problems. Breaking those rules too severely would cause the entire world to collapse. The warning left both women stunned by the scale of the danger. He casually returned to planning their route, leaving his companions horrified by his reckless attitude. The group hurried toward the swamp of starvation, while arguing over the safest way to rescue Ain. At the swamp, a strange creature recovered rapidly and regained its strength. Creature celebrated its improved condition and prepared its next move. Irritated by the pursuing night, it began gathering dangerous black holes for a new plan. Nearby, the captured saint remained restrained, as the creature considered how to use its hostage to its advantage. While complaining about the troublesome night, the creature prepared to report its situation and ignored the captive saint's remarks. A familiar voice suddenly answered, leaving the creature confused. As it looked closer, the resemblance between the captive and the newcomer became impossible to ignore. The shocking realization struck immediately when the creature discovered the captive was actually a man. Confusion escalated further as both sides examined each other and questioned the bizarre situation. The creature sensed royal blood within the captive and realized a hidden power had awakened. Confident in its discovery, it mocked the captive and tried to break his composure. Believing the disguise had failed, the creature exposed what it thought was the truth behind the deception. A brief silence followed as both sides measured each other's reactions. Captive calmly returned the insult, turning the creature's taunts back against it. Suddenly struck the creature, leaving it stunned by the unexpected attack. Although injured, the captive endured the pain while several identical figures appeared before him. The creature viewed the resistance as disrespectful and watched its opponent carefully. After considering the situation, it decided to kill the captive simply for being troublesome, even while threatening him. The creature mockingly praised his appearance before attacking again with renewed hostility. Beaten and exhausted, the captive accepted that death might be approaching and reflected on his mistakes. Even so, he decided to endure a little longer and wait for Ida's arrival. His thoughts drifted to someone who had always continued moving forward, despite hardship. Meanwhile, the creature noticed a sudden disturbance and turned toward the source. Moments later, the rescue party arrived at the hideout, finally confronting the enemy face to face. The creature was shocked when the rescue party appeared far sooner than expected, and struggled to understand the situation. Meanwhile, the captive realized their arrival had happened much faster than anticipated. Before entering the swamp of starvation, the speedrunner led his two companions through the rocky path while preparing for the next challenge. Along the way, he organized their understanding of Raspy and reviewed the dangers they might face during the battle. Based on his speedrun experience, Raspy was usually an easy opponent, but the current situation suggested that something had changed. Drawing from past knowledge, he explained Raspy's abilities, copied equipment, and unusual combat mechanics to help the group avoid mistakes. Suddenly, a new detail emerged. Raspy now possessed a strange rod, raising concerns that his destructive power had become far greater than expected. After learning about Raspy's new weapon, the speedrunner warned his companions to prepare for the worst possible outcome. While crossing the rocky path, a strange sound came from the cat girl's collar. Moments later, it cracked apart, leaving her stunned. Ahead, the entrance to the swamp of starvation finally appeared. Realizing something was wrong, the group rushed forward without slowing down. Before they could react further, a massive figure emerged. Raspy stood before them, wielding the strange rod and radiating overwhelming power. Silence followed. Faced with the unexpected transformation, all three could only stare as the true threat revealed itself. The lava ogre revealed its true level and charged toward the group, shaking the ground with every step. Without warning, its massive weapon crashed down. A violent impact erupted across the battlefield, proving the monster was far stronger than expected. Instead of engaging, the speedrunner quickly assessed the situation. Reaching the swamp of starvation remained the priority, and defeating the ogre would only waste time. Remembering a hidden mechanic, he retrieved a large shield and positioned it opposite the swamp's entrance. With the shortcut prepared, the group moved closer to the deepest area, without entering the maze-like cave. By using the lava ogre's hammer strike, the group could be launched directly into the deepest part of the swamp of starvation. Although the plan sounded reckless, the ogre was already closing in. With no time left, everyone prepared to follow his instructions. Carefully watching the monster's movement, he counted the timing and positioned the great shield at the exact moment of impact. The shield redirected the attack, sending the entire group soaring through the air at tremendous speed. Launch worked perfectly, however, as they celebrated the successful shortcut, a new problem suddenly appeared ahead. As the group flew through the sky, the speedrunner explained that the area had not loaded fast enough. Moments later, the map fully loaded beneath them. Their flight ended, and the group began falling straight toward their destination. Rather than panicking, he relied on another game mechanic. The landing stopped their momentum, allowing them to survive the massive drop without injury. A loud eruption echoed nearby, as the shortcut brought them directly to the hidden settlement. Shock spread across the group. While they struggled to process the absurd route, the speedrunner calmly continued toward the next objective. The cat girl remained frozen in disbelief, still struggling to understand the absurd shortcut that had brought them there. Excited by the speedrunner's methods, she bombarded him with questions about how he had reached the area so quickly. Before she could get an answer, something struck her directly in the face. Ignoring the distraction, he headed toward the objective and decided to skip an upcoming event that would only waste valuable time, rubbing her injury. The cat girl complained about her treatment, but the speedrunner had already advanced to the next step of the route. While moving through the settlement, the group ignored a strange slime. A coin was tossed aside, making the creature appear harmless. Suddenly, The slime rushed forward and spread countless tendrils across the area. The knight stepped in first, cutting through the approaching tendrils and creating space for the others to move safely. Instead of retreating, the slime focused its attention on the cat girl and approached her with unusual excitement. Annoyance quickly turned into action. Without hesitation, the cat girl struck back with a powerful punch, sending the slime flying away. Still irritated by the slime's behavior, the cat girl demanded that the speedrunner get rid of it immediately. He calmly agreed without hesitation, rather than backing down. The slime armed itself with the strange wooden rod and charged straight at him, eager to test its new strength. A single counter sent the slime crashing into the rocky wall, scattering debris across the area. Instead of feeling fear, the slime became even more excited. The overwhelming display of power only fueled its fascination. The slime blocked the attack with ease, then mocked the weapon's weakness while the battle intensified. Knight rushed forward to continue the fight, but the slime suddenly stopped her and eagerly demanded more attention. Laughing wildly, the slime unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks. Its movements became faster and more unpredictable with every swing. Unable to find an opening, the knight was forced back. The continuous assault left little room to defend, let alone counterattack. As the battle continued, the slime revealed the rod's absurd power. Despite its size, it could be wielded as lightly as an ordinary stick. Convinced it had discovered something extraordinary, the slime became completely obsessed with the speedrunner's techniques. While the slime focused entirely on the fight, the speedrunner quietly approached from behind carrying a bag filled with coins. A sudden shower of coins struck the slime and interrupted its excitement. Frustration replaced its earlier enthusiasm almost instantly. Rather than stopping, the speedrunner continued scattering coins around the battlefield. The slime's attention gradually shifted away from the knight. Confused by the repeated interruptions, the slime tried to understand what was happening as more coins struck its body. The distraction worked perfectly. While the slime chased the nearest target, the speedrunner calmly moved behind it. Dodging each attack with precise movements, the speedrunner rolled behind the slime and avoided the most dangerous part of its combo. Another shower of coins struck from behind. The distraction allowed him to stay in a safe position without taking any damage. Frustration spread across the slime's face. No matter how powerful its weapon was, every attack became meaningless when it failed to connect. For the first time, the slime's excitement faded. Annoyance and irritation gradually replaced its earlier enthusiasm. Both the knight and the speedrunner watched carefully as the creature prepared its next move. Dark slime spread across the battlefield as the creature recited an eerie chant. Shadows gathered and multiplied around the group. From the depths of the swamp, countless copies emerged. The battlefield quickly filled with smiling figures under the slime's control. Confidence overflowed from the creature. Surrounded by its army, it declared that the speedrunner could no longer evade it. Copies attacked from every direction while the original directed the chaos. Watching carefully, the speedrunner noticed a problem. The pattern had already shifted into a later phase, despite the boss still having too much health. A sudden realization struck the speedrunner. The battle had already diverged from his route, and the unexpected phase change made no sense. While searching for an explanation, he considered a disturbing possibility. An unknown bug might be affecting the encounter. Meanwhile, the knight cut through the surrounding copies and pushed forward, refusing to let the growing swarm overwhelm the party. Instead of disappearing after being struck, the fragments of slime remained active. Pieces scattered across the battlefield and continued moving on their own. Surrounded from every side, she found herself trapped by a threat that should not have existed. The slime revealed the truth behind the anomaly. By feeding on the surrounding darkness, it had multiplied far beyond its original form. Copies flooded the battlefield and attacked in unison. Every direction became a source of danger as the swarm closed in on the party. Desperation spread among the group. The cat girl realized their attacks were no longer effective. While the speedrunner could not rely on his usual tactics, seeing no path to victory, the knight ordered a retreat. The situation had become too overwhelming to handle directly. After a brief silence, the speedrunner remembered one final option. Reluctantly, he prepared to use his last resort. After deciding on his final strategy, the speedrunner gave the knight a simple instruction. No matter what happened, she had to keep attacking Raspy. Without explaining further, he activated a powerful skill. The knight immediately charged into the swarm and began cutting through the copies. Although Raspy mocked the effort, the knight continued striking relentlessly. Each attack chipped away at the enemy despite its confidence. Watching from afar, Raspy noticed something unusual. The speedrunner's actions suggested a hidden plan was already in motion. Realizing the hero was the true threat, Raspy changed priorities. The swarm abandoned the knight and rushed toward the speedrunner instead. As the swarm closed in, one of the slime copies suddenly grabbed the speedrunner's leg. The trap had finally worked. Delight spread across Raspi's face, believing victory was certain. The creature opened a strange portal and prepared to claim its target. Without hesitation, Raspi activated the skill. The battlefield seemed to freeze as the portal expanded before the speedrunner. Confidence overflowed from the creature. Every copy watched eagerly, expecting the hero to be consumed by the attack. Meanwhile, the knight and cat girl stared in alarm, surrounded by enemies. They could only watch as the crucial moment unfolded. The moment the portal activated, confusion spread across the battlefield. Even Raspi could not understand why everything had suddenly stopped moving. Unlike the others, the speedrunner remained calm. After a brief observation, he realized the strange phenomenon was connected to a speedrunning exploit. Although trapped within the effect, Raspi discovered it could still move slightly. The creature immediately began testing its limits. Carefully studying the situation, Raspi searched for a way to regain control. Its confidence slowly returned as it adjusted to the abnormal state. Everyone needed to escape the technique's range before the situation changed again. As the strange technique continued, Raspi suddenly noticed its body sinking into the ground. The creature finally realized something was seriously wrong. Panic replaced its earlier confidence. Unable to move properly, Raspi struggled as parts of its body slipped through the terrain. Meanwhile, the cat girl recognized the situation from the speedrunner's explanation. The long-prepared plan was finally taking effect. Using the rod's special effect, the speedrunner had triggered a hidden bug. Excessive calculations overloaded the game's systems and disrupted the boss fight. While the others tried to understand the phenomenon, he calmly compared it to workers being overwhelmed by impossible tasks, causing the entire world to lag. To explain the situation, Shichiku compared the world to a system processing countless tasks at once. According to Shichiku, the duplicated rods forced the world to handle far more calculations than it was designed for, resulting in severe lag. While the system struggled to recover, he warned his companions to stay still. Any unnecessary movement could make the instability even worse. The cat girl questioned what would happen if they moved anyway. Shichiku explained that additional actions would further increase the system's workload. As his explanation ended, Shichiku revealed the real danger. If the overload continued, the world itself might fail to function properly. Trying to simplify the explanation, Shichiku described how the world constantly checked whether objects should collide or pass through one another. Using a simple example, he explained collision detection and how speedrunners could bypass it by exploiting certain animations and movements. The knight quickly understood the danger. If collision detection failed because of the lag, normal physical rules would stop working. At that moment, Raspi experienced the consequences firsthand. Its body continued sinking through the terrain as the overloaded system failed to keep up. Realizing it was falling into an unknown state, the creature desperately demanded an explanation from Shichiku. Raspi's ability to copy equipment and endlessly duplicate itself had overloaded the world's systems. Pointing at the strange rod, he noted that even a bug-created item had limits. The problem came from abusing those limits far beyond what the world could handle. With complete indifference, Shichiku delivered a final warning. Exploiting glitches always carried risks, and Raspi had ignored them. Moments later, the overloaded world rejected the creature. Raspi's body slipped completely out of the battlefield and vanished into the void below. Along with countless copies, Raspi tumbled through a broken space as the consequences of its own actions finally caught up to it. Inside a hidden chamber, beneath a cliff, a quiet shrine stood as dark particles slowly faded from the air. After the battle ended, the protagonist approached the dropped item, proving the third Elite Four member had been defeated. Meanwhile, the game system recognized Raspi's defeat, causing the surrounding lag to disappear completely. Nearby, the injured group began to move again. Unfortunately, the wound left by an Elite Four monster was too severe for ordinary recovery magic, leaving one companion in critical condition. Without hesitation, a giant creature descended from above and rushed toward them, drawing everyone's attention as a new crisis emerged. A strange creature suddenly arrived carrying a young girl, who hurried toward the group after noticing the injured companions. Shock spread across the party as they recognized her. At the same time, the protagonist realized the story had progressed beyond the point where Raspi was defeated. Without wasting time, the girl led everyone to a nearby spring and urged them to place the wounded woman in the water. According to local legend, the spring possessed a miraculous power capable of curing any illness or injury. Moments later, the severe wound gradually disappeared. Relief filled the group as the unconscious woman recovered before their eyes. The injured woman slowly regained consciousness. Confusion filled her expression as she looked around and struggled to understand the situation. After hearing that an Elite Four member had been defeated, she realized the danger had already passed. Meanwhile, she tried to recall what happened before losing consciousness. The strange figure she had seen earlier seemed to vanish beneath the ground without explanation. Rather than worrying further, her companion suggested it was likely caused by illusion magic and assured her that nothing was wrong. A timing difference suddenly caught his attention, revealing that the current situation no longer matched the speedrun he remembered. While reviewing the recent events, he considered whether the copied strange rod had unintentionally created a faster route by removing the lag. Careful analysis suggested that the discovery could completely change established speedrun strategies. Thoughts of returning home quickly strengthened his determination. At the same time, he imagined sharing the breakthrough with fellow speedrunners in his original world. Soon after, the group arrived at Ascli village, where the locals welcomed the rare visitors with curiosity and warmth. To help them recover, the villagers served a traditional herbal tea. Although the unusual scent surprised some of the party, they accepted the hospitality and rested. After recovering, the princess listened, as the village girl explained that everyone had been worried when she suddenly disappeared. Meanwhile, Shichiku and his companions learned more about Ascli village, a remote settlement that had preserved its unique traditions for generations. Concerned about attracting attention, the princess suggested keeping her identity hidden to avoid unnecessary trouble near the border, rather than sending them away. The villagers warmly welcomed the travelers. Seeing their kindness, Shichiku's group considered staying for a short rest. Even so, questions remained about the dangers nearby. Before long, the conversation shifted toward the monsters roaming the surrounding region. While discussing the village's traditions, the group learned that Tobari tea helped keep monsters away. Even so, the village chief explained that monster attacks still occurred from time to time. An old story about past sacrifices left the visitors visibly shocked. Meanwhile, Shichiku became interested in the Tobari herb. Its ability to reduce encounters reminded him of useful strategies from glitchless speedruns. Unfortunately, the herb was no longer available. According to the chief, scholars had taken the remaining supply many years earlier. Just then, the village girl excitedly announced that she had something special to show the guests. Later that night, the group was brought to a large hot spring. Curious expressions spread among the visitors as they tried to understand its significance. With great excitement, the village girl revealed that the spring had begun flowing again after being dry for a long time. Gratitude filled her face as she credited Shichiku's group for restoring both the spring and a sick sheep named Mary. Meanwhile, Shichiku realized the event was actually a hidden subquest connected to the Laspi storyline. Recognizing the opportunity, he quickly explained how completing the subquest advanced the main route, while also unlocking additional dialogue and story progression. After explaining the restored spring, the village girl happily invited everyone to enjoy the hot spring as a reward for their efforts. Later that evening, Shichiku relaxed in the bath alongside the recovered princess. To his surprise, the princess revealed that even an old injury had been healed by the spring. The experience convinced her that its restorative power was extraordinary. As the conversation continued, she reflected on Shichiku's actions and realized he rarely received recognition despite helping others repeatedly. Before the moment ended, the princess encouraged him to keep taking bold risks whenever the situation demanded it. While resting in the hot spring, the princess questioned Shichiku about the decision to hide his true identity during the battle with Laspi. Rather than defending himself, Shichiku admitted that his choice had been reckless. Even so, protecting Ada remained his highest priority. After hearing his explanation, the princess expressed gratitude for being saved, though she made it clear that she still disagreed with his actions. Soon afterward, her criticism grew much sharper as she pointed out the dangers his decision had created for everyone involved. Faced with the relentless lecture, Shichiku found himself completely unable to argue back. As the conversation faded, an awkward silence settled over the hot spring. The princess appeared lost in thought while Shichiku quietly waited for her response. Looking around the bath, she became curious about how different it was from the facilities she knew in the capital. Remembering his exploits, she asked about the glitches that allowed impossible shortcuts. With a playful smile, she wondered whether those methods could be used for less honorable purposes. Shichiku immediately rejected the idea. Rather than accepting his answer, the princess teased him further. The discussion ended with her encouraging him to be more honest with himself. While relaxing in the hot spring, the princess suddenly approached Shichiku and tried to bring up a personal concern that had been bothering her. Nearby, Kira reflected on how dramatically events had changed since Shichiku's arrival. Without much warning, Ada asked a direct question about Kira's feelings toward Shichiku. After some hesitation, Kira admitted that she admired him. At the same time, she felt frustrated whenever other women grew close to him. Listening carefully, Ada noticed a clear difference in Kira's attitude. The feelings she showed toward Shachiko seemed deeper than ordinary admiration. As the discussion continued, Kira admitted that her feelings seemed similar to Ada's, as though Shachiko was slowly becoming more important to her. Curious about Ada's perspective, she asked what Ada truly thought of Shachiko, and waited for an honest answer. To her, Shachiko possessed the potential to surpass every hero in history before eventually returning to his original world. The thought left Kira silent. For the first time, she seriously considered the possibility that Shachiko might one day leave them behind. Kira quietly found herself thinking about both Ada and Shachiko long after the conversation ended. Left alone with her thoughts, Kira recalled Shachiko's determination, his reckless speedrunning mindset, and the promises that constantly drove him forward. One memory after another surfaced in her mind. The more she reflected on his actions, the harder it became to ignore her growing feelings. Realization finally struck. Embarrassed by her own conclusion, Kira hurriedly denied the implication when Ada tried to reassure her. Elsewhere, the village girl continued cleaning the hot spring area, and noticed a strange object lodged inside a water channel. Curiosity quickly took over. As she pulled at the obstruction, something hidden deep within the mechanism suddenly began to move. While inspecting the restored spring, the village girl discovered a strange slime-like creature emerging from the flowing water. A strange slime suddenly appeared before the group, drawing everyone's attention with its unusual expression and presence. Confusion spread among the party as they tried to understand what the creature was and why it had shown up. Meanwhile, the slime grew irritated and pointed out that the situation matched a known game event, suggesting something had gone wrong. Without hesitation, one member proposed eliminating the slime before it could become a threat, leaving the creature shocked. Rather than trusting it, the group treated the slime as a harmless bug and decided it was safer to destroy it while it remained powerless. The heroes debated how to deal with the slime, weighing different methods to ensure it could not escape or cause trouble later. A nearby village girl stepped forward and shared her dislike of slimes, making the creature's situation even worse. Seeing no way out, the slime desperately tried to reveal valuable information about hidden weaknesses and powerful enemies in the world. Before it could finish explaining, a cat-eared mage launched a powerful fire spell and engulfed the slime in flames. Moments later, the smoke cleared, and the slime remained completely unharmed, leaving the attackers stunned by the unexpected result. The knight slammed a heavy door onto the slime, but its body simply absorbed the impact without suffering any damage. Relief quickly turned into smug confidence as the slime realized the attacks were completely ineffective against it. A sinister grin spread across its face. Having recovered strength from the hot spring, the slime prepared to take control of the situation. Moments later, it transformed into a humanoid form and boldly declared its intention to devour everyone present. Instead of advancing, the transformed slime suddenly noticed something was wrong. Its new body failed to move properly, leaving it confused while the group watched in silence. The slime's transformation failed, leaving only its head intact. Remembering a similar bug from his previous world, unable to attack or escape, the slime remained stuck on the ground while the group gathered around and tried to understand the bizarre situation. Elsewhere, a mysterious artifact at the Demon King's round table activated and displayed the final moments of a recently defeated subordinate. The unexpected vision caught everyone's attention, and confusion spread through the room as they watched the strange projection. Fury quickly replaced confusion. After witnessing the scene, the enraged figure blamed the otherworldly heroes and vowed revenge for the fallen ally. A furious ruler demanded answers after witnessing the strange events, while an old retainer tried to calm the situation and explain what had happened. The discussion shifted to an ancient wish that had never been forgotten. Using a magical artifact, the ruler attempted to measure the weight of the hero's soul and compare it with those of the past. The old retainer remained unwavering, carrying a memory that had stayed with him through countless years and battles. His thoughts returned to a brutal war where mountains of corpses covered the battlefield. A sacrifice he had made entirely for his lord's cause. The capital of Falshula stood quietly behind its barrier, while the guards watched the southern gate. Suddenly, a bright beam descended from the sky. Several figures emerged from the light, causing the guards to freeze in surprise. After returning from their journey, the group looked around the familiar land. One member stretched comfortably while the others reflected on how little time had passed. Meanwhile, Ada noticed their presence and immediately focused on the unexpected arrival. Relief spread among them as they confirmed everyone was safe, explaining that a rescue team had only just been assembled before the travelers returned on their own. The relieved guards listened as Ada credited the otherworldly hero and his companions for her safe return. Rather than accepting the explanation, the guards stepped forward and requested proof of Ada's identity. Evidence from recent events was presented to support their concerns. Even so, The group remained firm, insisting that the true Ada must demonstrate her legitimacy. Without hesitation, Ada agreed to the test. A magic stone was prepared while her companions calmly stood behind her. Moments later, brilliant light burst from the stone. The display of royal power illuminated the area, proving beyond doubt that Ada was the genuine ruler of Falshilla. Ancient records confirmed that the barrier protecting Falshilla came from the bloodline of its founders. Further explanation revealed that only true descendants could wield that power. The captured enemy had merely used a substitute body. Attention then shifted to the hero's companions. Their abilities explained how the enemy had been sealed, despite the limits of royal magic. Although the proof was undeniable, Ada expressed disappointment at being doubted. Nevertheless, the guards finally accepted the result. Overcome with shame, Hugo dropped to his knees and begged for punishment. His companions quickly tried to stop the dramatic apology. Hugo desperately begged for punishment after realizing he had mistaken Ada for an imposter. Guilt overwhelmed him as the consequences of his mistake sank in. Shame replaced his earlier confidence, leaving him unable to forgive himself. Determined to atone, Hugo offered his life in service to Ada. His dramatic declaration stunned everyone nearby. Instead of accepting the sacrifice, Ada questioned whether such a meaningless death would truly help anyone. Her words forced him to reconsider. A gentle smile followed. Ada ordered him to live with the embarrassment and serve her properly in the future, ending the matter with mercy. Group watched Ada leave for the castle, while Hugo remained shaken by the earlier incident. Later, inside her room, Ada lay across a sofa and stared into space. With her duties temporarily over, she seemed unsure how to spend the rest of the day. Freedom quickly turned into laziness, as she relaxed without restraint. The peaceful atmosphere contrasted sharply with her usual royal image. A reminder soon arrived that she still had responsibilities as a princess. Reluctantly, Ada accepted that her break could not last forever. The sudden transformation left the hero speechless as he struggled to process the sight before him. Rather than royal attire, she wore clothing unfamiliar to everyone in the room. After examining it more closely, he realized the design came from additional content that did not exist in the original game. Without thinking, he praised her appearance. Embarrassment spread across Ada's face as the unexpected compliment left her flustered. Realizing how his words sounded, the hero quickly tried to explain himself. Unfortunately, the attempt only made the situation more awkward. To change the subject, the pair reviewed recent events. 6 days had passed since the hero's arrival, and the kingdom's major threats had already fallen one after another. Questions remained about whether the enemy's defeat could truly be counted after escaping death through an unusual method. Attention turned to the sealed enemy inside the bottle. Even the hero admitted the situation resembled a strange bug rather than an intended outcome. Despite the confusion, clear evidence suggested the subjugation quest had been completed. With that matter settled, the group refocused on their original objective. Defeating the remaining enemies would still lead them toward the ending they sought. Before long, everyone became interested in hearing more about the hero's unusual speedrunning methods and past achievements. The discussion turned toward the hero's unusual behavior. While others considered surviving death remarkable, the sealed enemy pointed out that such actions seemed far from normal. Hearing this, the group realized the remaining Elite Four already understood how unpredictable the hero could be. The hero recalled his previous fight and wondered if the enemy had prepared specific countermeasures. Instead of revealing any secret strategy, the captured enemy suggested that the hero simply used every advantage available. With the topic settled, attention shifted back to the coming battles. The group began evaluating whether they could withstand a coordinated attack from the remaining Elite Four. Since his strongest weapon was gone, he began searching for another way to recover enough damage to stay on the optimal route. Hearing his concerns, the others offered alternatives. Suggestions ranged from borrowing money to using the kingdom's sacred weapon. Rather than following conventional methods, he proposed obtaining a powerful sword through an unintended shortcut. Both Ada and Shishiku strongly opposed the reckless plan. Their reactions made it clear they wanted no part in another dangerous exploit. The world increasingly resembled the game itself, yet unfamiliar details kept appearing where none should have existed. Grew uneasy as more similarities between the world and the game became impossible to ignore. Further discussion revealed that many unusual events resembled exploits known only to experienced players. Comparing reality with his memories of another verse, the hero realized that many recent developments exceeded his knowledge. That contradiction challenged his assumptions about the world. His thoughts drifted toward the people he had met during the journey. Memories of their struggles, hopes, and personalities filled his mind. At last, he reached a simple conclusion. Treating everything as nothing more than a game felt wrong, because the people around him were undeniably real. The hero remained deep in thought until Shishiku interrupted his silence. Her question forced him to focus on the next step rather than lingering on uncertainty. After considering the situation, he decided to rely on the Holy Sword for the upcoming battles. Since events had already begun diverging from the original game, predicting their actions would become increasingly difficult. Information about the surviving Elite Four only reinforced that concern. Their intelligence made them far more dangerous than brute force opponents. Group would need to move faster than ever, defeating their enemies before new countermeasures could be prepared. Even if speed remained important, he understood that enemies would gain more opportunities to prepare countermeasures over time. Shishiku challenged that reasoning immediately, since events had already diverged from the original game. Her criticism continued until the hero reluctantly admitted she had a point. For once, the group agreed that a safer approach might be necessary. With that settled, they decided to follow a more reliable route. Meanwhile, the sealed enemy remained confused by the ongoing discussion. Although she apologized for interrupting earlier, she insisted that the hero accompany her, leaving little room for refusal. While the hero's group discussed future plans, a meeting of the wise sages convened within the kingdom. News of the hero's achievements quickly sparked debate. Some doubted the reports entirely. As the argument intensified, one member urged the council to remain calm. Personal feelings, they insisted, should not interfere with important decisions. The discussion soon returned to the kingdom's true priority. Protecting the nation and its people remained their primary responsibility. Their resolve was strengthened by memories of a devastating tragedy from years ago. None of them wished to witness such destruction ever again. The meeting took a darker turn as one of the sages considered the possibility that the otherworldly hero might disrupt the kingdom's established order. Rather than dismissing the threat, Milena Resarafari delivered a firm conclusion. If the hero endangered the stability of the realm, long ago, the goddess Volfaria created a seven-headed dragon to watch over the world. Each head carried a name, and together they guarded the growing land beneath the great tree. Chaos spread across the world until a woman received the goddess's blessing and summoned a hero from another realm, who swiftly defeated the beast. Yet suspicion grew in Volfaria's heart, leading her to send the hero back to his original world. Grief consumed the abandoned woman, and sorrow slowly transformed her into a witch. However, he returned as a demon king, igniting a war that endured through the ages. Inside the wise sages' conference hall, he arrived at the capital's grand castle and found himself standing alone before the kingdom's highest authorities. Around him sat the wise sages, each observing him with different reactions. As the tense gathering began, suddenly, he noticed restraints locked around his wrists. Confusion spread through his mind as he struggled to understand the situation. Memories of the previous day resurfaced, making him question how events had taken such an unexpected turn. Meanwhile, Ada calmly explained that he had already defeated 2 members of the Elite Four. After hearing about the wise sages, he compared their role to a secret organization mentioned in the game's guide. Ada warned that the sages were not necessarily welcoming. In her view, they were cautious people who could see outsiders as potential threats. According to her explanation, the sages had supported the kingdom since its founding. She then recalled a past war against the Demon King. A failed attempt to subjugate him led to devastating retaliation and countless losses across the land. Because of that tragedy, strict rules were established. As a result, adventurers who defeated powerful demons were often sent away rather than celebrated. While discussing the kingdom's strongest warriors, the group explained that even famous adventurers had failed to match the Elite Four's power. Hearing that, he connected the information to the game's lore and wondered why previous heroes had never challenged the Demon King. A new question followed, as he considered whether eliminating both the Demon King and the Elite Four could solve the kingdom's problems. Instead of agreement, he received an unexpected answer that labeled him an abnormal hero. From their perspective, his strange methods, impossible tactics, and unpredictable actions made him just as dangerous as the threats they feared. After hearing the sage's judgment, he struggled to accept their reasoning. A brief silence filled the room as both sides considered the situation. Moments later, one of the sages admitted that Shishiku was not a bad person. That opinion eased some of the tension surrounding him. Rather than treating him as a criminal, they decided he should properly meet the kingdom's leaders. Unexpectedly, Ain celebrated the news and praised him for making a friend. Her cheerful reaction caught everyone off guard. As he entered, memories of the game resurfaced when he recognized the place as the Great Hall. Before entering the meeting, Ain quietly warned him not to reveal that the Demon King had already been defeated. Soon afterward, a formal ceremony began inside the Grand Hall. Ancient titles honoring the 7 dragon houses echoed throughout the chamber. Across the room, the 6 wise sages observed him from their seats, as guardians of the kingdom's traditions. One influential leader examined him with curiosity while attendants stood nearby. His appearance failed to match the heroic image many had expected. Moments later, another noble openly mocked his size and presence. Despite the ridicule, he remained calm as the gathering continued. As the discussion continued, several sages argued over how the otherworldly hero should be judged. Standing before the powerful figures, he felt as though he had walked into a high-pressure interview. Meanwhile, a small companion remained hidden far from the meeting. Eventually, the formal introductions began. The idle conversations faded as another influential sage stepped forward to address the gathering. From the side, Ada quietly watched the proceedings. Her attention drifted toward a memory that seemed connected to the hero's arrival. At that moment, he recalled a mysterious figure from Ada and Kira's childhood story. The resemblance felt too strong to be a coincidence. While studying the sages, he recognized a few names connected to Ada and Kira's past, though several faces remained unfamiliar. Soon the wise sages turned their attention toward the otherworldly hero and prepared to verify an important claim. Their first question focused on whether he had truly subdued Arachne and Laspi. To support his answer, he presented the items obtained from the encounter, causing quiet reactions among the audience. With the evidence accepted, the sages moved to the next matter and asked how he had achieved such an impossible victory. The sages doubted that someone could defeat an Elite Four member so quickly, drawing on his knowledge of Kira's abilities. One elder argued that such a feat should have been impossible. After only 7 days in the world, his growth already exceeded all expectations. Asked to explain his success, he received help from his companions, who found the question difficult to answer. As the details emerged, the sages became increasingly confused. His weak equipment and low level failed to match his achievements. Eventually, one elder reached a conclusion. The hero must possess a unique gift granted by the goddess. When the sages tried to identify his special skill, an unreadable string of symbols appeared. Even the hero could not understand what was written. Suspicion quickly spread through the hall. Some members began questioning whether the mysterious ability connected him to the Demon King. The accusations felt increasingly unreasonable, despite the evidence he had already provided. Ignoring objections, one elder pushed for a harsher investigation and prepared to enforce the kingdom's laws. Before matters could escalate further, the restraints suddenly broke apart. At the same time, a sacred object emitted a bright light, drawing everyone's attention. Bound individuals would be tested, and any lie spoken during questioning would darken the sacred fire. Before the trial could continue, Ada stepped forward. She reminded everyone that the hero had saved her life. In response, one elder presented the hero's strange actions as evidence against him. His behavior after arriving in the world seemed impossible to explain. Those stories only deepened the sages' doubts. To them, his claims sounded far too extraordinary to be believed. Meanwhile, the hero realized his greatest problem. Without proof of his speedrunning knowledge, every achievement appeared unbelievable. As accusations continued, Ain defended the hero and pointed out that he had already provided proof of defeating powerful enemies. Others joined the discussion, arguing that although the hero remained mysterious, there was no evidence linking him to the Demon King. One sage mocked the debate and jokingly suggested turning the hero into a spy instead of treating him as a suspect. A sage explained that the Demon King emerged during a recurring era known as the War Season. At the same time, the alignment of the stars allowed a hero from another world to be summoned to oppose that threat. The sages explained that only an otherworldly hero could defeat the Demon King. With another war season approaching, the kingdom faced an uncertain future. Even so, complete trust remained impossible. Handing the world's fate to someone they barely knew felt too dangerous. Despite their concerns, the sages expressed a desire to believe in him. The meeting gradually shifted from accusation toward cooperation. They asked him to reveal everything that had happened since arriving in this world 6 days earlier. As the divine flame continued to burn, he remembered Ain's warning and carefully avoided mentioning that the Demon King had already been defeated. Just as the questioning seemed settled, a new presence appeared above the gathering. The sudden arrival immediately drew everyone's attention. The meeting took an unexpected turn with the arrival of King Falshella, the 107th, ruler of the Trueli Kingdom. Before the throne, the bound speedrunner was brought before the king, while several nobles in attendance watched the meeting unfold. Confusion crossed his face as he looked up at the ruler, uncertain why he had been arrested. Meanwhile, a stern official defended the decision and claimed authority to restrain him. The king calmly questioned the action and ordered an immediate release. Without warning, the restraints shattered apart. Surprise spread across the young man's face as his hands became free again. At the same time, Another official's strict reputation was explained, easing the tension in the royal court. Although surprised, the speedrunner accepted the gesture and chose not to make an issue of it. Soon after, the ruler formally introduced himself as the 107th king of Fulshua, revealing the name known throughout the kingdom. Records of his past were then presented, showing a younger king who traveled widely and earned respect through courage and kindness. Even now, he preferred adventures over remaining on the throne, often journeying alongside Princess Ada and her companions. Curiosity replaced formality as he asked the summoned hero to recount everything that had happened since arriving in this world. While explaining his journey, the speedrunner recalled being chased after repeatedly breaking the game's intended progression. As the story continued, he described entering the cathedral and advancing without obtaining the sacred sword expected of every hero. Excitement immediately appeared on the king's face. The unusual tale sounded far more incredible than the rumors he had already heard. Around the hall, nobles and attendants reacted with stunned expressions, struggling to believe what had just been revealed. Rather than dismissing the account, the king compared it to legendary magic and became even more eager to hear the rest of the hero's exploits. The king's curiosity finally won out. Eager to witness the strange technique himself, he asked the speedrunner for a demonstration. Although several attendants appeared concerned, the request was quickly approved. Everyone understood the king would not be satisfied without seeing it firsthand. Moments later, the speedrunner began testing the method. His unusual movements drew confused looks from the gathered audience. Using careful positioning, he launched himself toward the wall in a way that seemed completely unreasonable. Shock spread through the hall when he passed straight through the barrier. While the nobles struggled to process what happened, the king watched in amazement. The demonstration left the entire hall confused, unable to detect any magic. The spectators struggled to understand where the hero had disappeared. A moment later, he calmly returned through the doorway and explained that he had simply gone outside rather than passing back through the wall. Laughter and amazement spread across the room as the king openly enjoyed the strange technique he had just witnessed. His unusual abilities were praised alongside the many threats he had already overcome. Finally, the king acknowledged that the hero's actions had repeatedly benefited the kingdom, even when they defied the world's rules and common sense. As the discussion turned to war, several officials argued that the kingdom should use the opportunity to reorganize its forces and strike the Demon King. Rather than treating the hero as a threat, the king expressed his trust in Shishiku and wished to support him however possible. Not everyone agreed. Although the hero's achievements were undeniable, doubts remained about his true nature and intentions. Even the most skeptical voices admitted one fact could not be ignored: the hero had repeatedly protected the kingdom from disaster. With the king's approval, support for Shichiku steadily grew throughout the royal court. After hearing the court's decision, Shichiku felt relieved. With the misunderstanding resolved, he could continue his journey without constantly worrying about suspicion. The king then expressed sincere gratitude, acknowledging that the hero's actions had brought great benefits to the kingdom. Attention soon shifted to Danya. While generally dependable, she was known for occasionally acting in unpredictable ways. Before departing, the king quietly requested that someone keep a close watch on her behavior. Later, alone in the throne room, he reflected on Shishiku's arrival and the extraordinary circumstances surrounding the hero's summoning. Once the audience ended, the king remained alone and examined an old prophecy. The possibility of a hero from another world brought both hope and concern. Dark markings suddenly appeared on his hand, hiding the ominous sign. He endured the pain in silence and kept the secret to himself. After the strange reaction subsided, he relaxed in his throne and regained his composure. Elsewhere, Princess Ada reflected on the meeting and offered a light-hearted apology for earlier events. Meanwhile, the hero's companions discussed how dangerous the assembly had been, relieved that suspicion had faded before anyone was branded a traitor. Shichiku wondered why he could not openly reveal that he had defeated the Demon King despite the kingdom already knowing of his achievements. Rather than answering directly, the others explained that the matter involved political concerns and the interests of the royal family. Although the Demon King had fallen, the source that empowered the demons remained active, meaning the threat was far from over. At the same time, influential nobles continued to hold significant power, making internal stability a serious concern. Realizing the situation was more complicated than expected, Shichiku accepted that winning support within the kingdom was just as important as defeating enemies. The conversation took a darker turn when the group revealed that a traitor might be hiding among the kingdom's most trusted sages. Suspicion spread across the room as several influential figures became possible targets of the investigation. Evidence suggested that confidential information regarding national defenses and military secrets had been leaking for some time. Although some culprits had been discovered, the true mastermind always remained hidden behind layers of deception and influence. Gradually, Shichiku realized that the hostility directed toward him earlier may have been manipulated by the traitor. As the investigation continued, Shichiku learned that the Council of Sages barely existed in the original game. Several incidents were reviewed, revealing that key figures had acted differently than expected. Attention soon returned to the hidden spy. Identifying the infiltrator could provide a path toward uncovering the remaining members of the Elite Four. Since the spy remained active after the Demon King's defeat, the group suspected a deeper connection between the conspirators and the enemy forces. Shichiku proposed using the Flame of Tesset to expose the culprit, though the others immediately questioned how such a plan could work. The group explained that the Flame of Tesset was a sacred relic capable of exposing lies, but obtaining permission to use it would be difficult. Further discussion revealed that convincing the council would be nearly impossible. Instead of following the proper process, Shichiku proposed a far more direct solution, stealing the relic himself. His suggestion stunned the others. While they considered the relic an untouchable treasure, he viewed it as another item from the game, drawing on his knowledge of hidden routes and event conditions. Shichiku confidently outlined a plan to reach the Flame of Tesset. Confident in his plan, Shichiku claimed he could borrow the Flame of Tesset, expose the traitor. The proposal immediately drew criticism. While the others worried about the consequences, he remained focused on the chance to perform another speedrun. To discourage him, the group described Tesset's heavily guarded estate, a place protected by traps, soldiers, and strict security. Rather than backing down, Shichiku revealed that he already knew a legitimate game mechanic that could bypass the defenses. Before anyone could react, he demonstrated the technique on the spot, leaving the room stunned and uncertain about what he had just done. After revealing the special item, Shichiku confidently activated its hidden function and transformed into the female protagonist from the game. Shichiku suddenly appeared before the group, causing everyone to freeze in surprise. Her new appearance drew immediate attention across the room. Meanwhile, Kira became emotional after seeing the change. Confusion spread as the unusual transformation raised questions about its purpose. Across from her, the hero examined Shichiku carefully. A serious expression suggested uncertainty about what had just happened. Soon after, Shichiku explained that the game's wardrobe feature allowed characters to freely alter their appearance and gender. With the mystery solved, the group concluded that only the hero's soul had moved between bodies. The group questioned whether Shichiku's transformation offered any real advantage. An unexpected suggestion followed, leaving everyone stunned. Embarrassment spread across the room as the idea sounded far more suspicious than practical. After gathering his thoughts, Shichiku began explaining the situation. The others listened carefully, sensing there was a specific reason behind the strange proposal. Soon, he revealed that the fastest route was simply to keep the operation moving without delays. A clear objective finally emerged. Later, the group visited Sir Tesset's mansion and met Kira. To their surprise, the resolution pointed directly at her, leaving everyone momentarily speechless. The group arrived before Sir Tesset, presenting the otherworld hero as part of their request. After a brief pause, Sir Tesset accepted and invited them into a private drawing room. While following their host through the mansion, Shichiku suddenly stopped. An uneasy feeling crossed his face as discomfort quickly grew. Moments later, the cause became clear. Something eaten in the dungeon had upset his stomach, forcing him to rush away unexpectedly. As Shichiku hurried off, Kira guided him toward the restroom, left behind. Sir Tesset admitted he still could not understand the mysterious hero at all. After reaching the mansion, the group settled on a plan to approach Sir Tesset directly. Confidence spread through the group as they considered using her familiarity with the mansion. Further analysis revealed another advantage. By keeping Tesset occupied, she could create a valuable opening for the others to investigate his activities. Despite agreeing with the strategy, she felt uneasy about exploiting someone's trust. Even so, the mission remained her priority. Meanwhile, Shichiku compared the operation to a speedrun. Unpredictable actions, he believed, were the key to outsmarting an opponent. After hearing the plan, the knight asked how much time Shichiku needed. His calm answer immediately caught everyone's attention. Without hesitation, Shichiku requested only 5 minutes. The moment approval was given, he and Kira rushed into action. While moving through the mansion, Shichiku explained that the route relied on game knowledge rather than dangerous exploits. Soon, they reached the first obstacle. Remembering the correct sequence from the game, Shichiku carefully activated the dragon heads one by one. As the mechanism responded, strange noises echoed through the hall. Kira froze in surprise, while Shichiku remained focused on the route ahead. Beyond the puzzle door, Shichiku revealed a hidden underground route, guarded by numerous golem soldiers. Meanwhile, Kira realized how far Sir Tesset traveled just to reach the mysterious flame. the discovery made the treasure room seem even more important. After descending deeper, Shichiku checked their progress and compared the area to a game nearing completion. Soon, they spotted patrol golems moving through the passage. Both quickly hid behind cover and observed their movements. Rather than rushing ahead, Shichiku waited for the perfect opening. Once a gap appeared, the pair slipped past the guards unnoticed. Reaching a more dangerous section, Shichiku equipped Dananya with special stealth gear. While reviewing the equipment's effects, they discovered unusual rules tied to stealth. Even so, the pair focused on efficiency rather than questioning the game's logic. With preparations complete, Shichiku outlined the route ahead. Confidence returned as Danya listened and readied herself for the final obstacles. Moments later, both rushed through the corridor, slipping past enemies before the patrols could react. A deadly trap suddenly blocked their path. Remembering the dungeon's mechanics, Shichiku avoided the spikes with a careful crawl and continued deeper inside. While advancing through the corridor, Danya noticed a patrol route that should have intersected with theirs. A tense silence followed as she watched the approaching golem, expecting trouble. She quickly warned Shichiku. The distance between them and the guard continued to shrink. Surprisingly, the golem turned away at the last moment. Instead of investigating, it continued along another path without hesitation. The same thing happened again and again. No matter where the pair moved, the golems somehow avoided crossing their route. Their current forms had altered how the dungeon recognized them, allowing them to pass through the area without attracting attention. While explaining the dungeon's mechanics, Shichiku revealed that players could freely switch genders without affecting their abilities. Through repeated speedruns, he discovered that certain enemies reacted differently depending on a character's appearance. As they moved deeper inside, Shichiku deliberately manipulated the golem's attention. Their predictable responses allowed the pair to avoid direct encounters. Soon, they found a wooden crate near the treasure room. Recognizing its importance, Shichiku immediately carried it forward. Just as victory seemed close, two giant golems blocked the final approach. The route's greatest obstacle now stood directly before them. As the giant golems detected movement, tension filled the room. Danya braced herself, expecting the final confrontation to begin. Instead of fighting, Shichiku quickly placed the wooden crate on the floor. The strange action left Danya completely confused. Moments later, both squeezed beneath the crate and waited. Although the hiding spot seemed ridiculous, Shichiku remained surprisingly calm. The golems approached and examined the area from several angles. For a brief moment, discovery appeared unavoidable. Then the guards suddenly lost interest and resumed their patrol. Using a peculiar game mechanic, Shichiku successfully erased their detection state and cleared the obstacle. After slipping into the treasure room, Shichiku and Danya were immediately confronted by a mysterious guardian. Without hesitation, Shichiku stepped forward and prepared for battle. Danya remained near the entrance while he explained that the enemy followed a predictable pattern. Soon, the merciless Iron Maiden launched a barrage of spikes. Anticipating the attack, Shichiku retreated and focused on avoiding every volley. Rather than attacking recklessly, he patiently waited for an opening. Each movement followed a route he already knew by heart. The moment the guardian stopped firing, Shichiku struck its weak point with precise shots. After exposing the guardian's weak point, Shichiku delivered the finishing blow. With the enemy defeated, the flame of Tesset appeared before them. Shichiku quickly secured the objective and stopped the timer before it could continue. Relief replaced the tension that had followed them through the dungeon. Looking back on the run, Shichiku felt satisfied with how smoothly everything had gone. Meanwhile, Danya remained unimpressed by the celebration. Having been tossed around throughout the mission, she could only focus on recovering as they prepared to leave. Shichiku suggested returning to the others immediately. Behind them, the ruined guardian lay scattered across the treasure room floor. As the mission finally ended, Danya stared at the aftermath with growing concern. The stolen flame, the defeated guardian. Inside Tesset Mansion's drawing room, an elderly noblewoman reviewed a case while meeting with her assistant. Attention shifted to Milena's situation. Despite outside pressure, the noblewoman remained unconvinced and listened calmly to the report. After a brief pause, she directed the discussion back to the main issue and prepared to give her assessment. Firmly holding her position, the noblewoman declared that her judgment on Milena's case would not change. Reviewing the facts once more, she concluded that Milena could not reasonably be held responsible for allegations concerning an incident that had occurred 11 years earlier. Determined to prove her claim, the witness insisted that Milena had attacked Ada and demanded the flame of Tesset be used to reveal the truth. Confidence grew as she prepared to accuse Milena formally, believing her testimony would secure judgment against her. The noblewoman rejected that certainty. She explained that the flame exposed lies only when testimony directly contradicted proven facts. Instead, She advised taking the matter to court, where every account could be compared fairly, considering the 11-year gap, the missing evidence, and Ada's lack of intent to seek punishment. She found no basis to hold Milena accountable. The noblewoman reaffirmed that the law must be applied carefully, refusing to let emotion or public pressure influence judgment. A faint smile appeared on Milena's face as she recognized the elder's willingness to remain flexible and fair. Suspicion then shifted toward another matter, when Milena questioned the earlier use of a truth-testing flame. Examining the circumstances, she argued that acting against someone based only on suspicion contradicted the very principles being defended. Before the discussion could continue, the hero and his companions returned, drawing everyone's attention and abruptly changing the atmosphere in the room. As the hero's group arrived, the noblewoman suddenly became uneasy and struggled to explain the situation. Elsewhere in the mansion, Ada had already fallen asleep in her room after an exhausting day. The group found her resting across a luxurious chair. Moments later, she slowly woke and looked around in confusion. Attention shifted to a valuable treasure they had obtained. Its unusual appearance immediately caught everyone's interest. Recalling an old legend, the hero explained that only a descendant of the first Tesset family could properly use the relic, raising questions about whether Shishiku could activate its power. The group decided to test the relic, based on ancient records. They believed a hero from another world might be able to activate its power. As soon as the relic was used on Ada, magical chains appeared and forced her to face the law's judgment. The hero began asking direct questions while the others observed the relic's reactions carefully. Each truthful answer kept the flame shining white. To verify its limits, they moved on to increasingly embarrassing questions. The experiment quickly spiraled out of control. After several unexpected revelations, the group concluded that the relic worked perfectly, leaving Ada overwhelmed by the results. After the relic test ended, the discussion returned to Sir Tesset. The noblewoman revealed that she had recently questioned him about his behavior at the Council of Elders. As evidence, she presented a mysterious card containing a message about remembering the apocalypse. The strange warning drew attention. Combined with old legends about heroes becoming great threats, it raised new doubts about Sir Tesset's intentions. Even so, the group found the card suspicious and questioned whether it could be trusted as proof. With no decisive evidence available, they concluded that Sir Tesset's true allegiance remained uncertain, leaving the investigation unresolved. Next court assembly approaching, the group decided to return the flame of Tesset and search for the Iron Maiden's remains before the area reset. Attention then turned to the Council of Elders. The hero was tasked with gathering information without attracting suspicion. The plan carried serious risks, as being exposed could lead to accusations of treason and immediate retaliation. Unfazed, the hero revealed that he had already prepared a disguise and intended to investigate while hiding his identity. Confidence quickly turned into comedy when his disguise amounted to nothing more than a cheap fake mustache, leaving the others completely unconvinced. He reasoned that even a drastic change in appearance might still be recognized by the world as the same person. Questions soon arose about how closely this world actually followed the rules of the original game. Reflecting on everything that had happened, the hero admitted that many events no longer matched his knowledge, making future outcomes difficult to predict. Hearing the uncertainty, Ada proposed a new idea that could help test their assumptions. Meanwhile, far from the mansion, a villager fled in terror as a powerful lava boar charged through the mountains, creating a new crisis. Near Askir village, the charging lava boar suddenly fell after a swift strike cut through the powerful monster. Its slayer inspected the damage to his coat before turning his attention to the frightened girl the beast had been chasing. Relieved to find her unharmed, he offered reassurance and helped her recover from the shock. Back in the village, the girl's grandmother tearfully thanked the stranger for saving her beloved granddaughter. As they spoke, the villagers explained that monsters rarely appeared in the area. The unusual attack raised concerns that something abnormal was happening nearby. The villagers warned that the season of war had begun, a rare period when monster territories expanded and danger spread across the land. Remembering the hero who had recently passed through, the young girl wished he would return and stop the threat once again. An elder recalled stories of the previous season of war, describing it as a disaster that claimed countless lives and left lasting scars. Despite the grim memories, the girl remained optimistic and insisted that everything would be all right. Filled with confidence, she declared that Shishiku would protect everyone and even find a way to defeat the Demon King. Defeated demons did not always vanish completely, and some could leave behind unexpected traces. As an example, she explained that Laspi had transformed into a harmless slime instead of disappearing, like other demons. Curious about the story, the traveler followed the clues to the Fountain of Bios, a place once known as the Great Swamp of Starvation. There, the details became even stranger. By all known logic, Lasby should have died, yet signs of life remained. Faced with the evidence, the traveler wondered whether a hero's power could bend even death itself, revealing a frightening possibility. After hearing the story, the hero fell into deep thought. The survival of Lasby raised questions that could not be explained by ordinary logic. A guidebook described the black flame of Tesset, the dragon of justice, whose fire darkened whenever lies. Meanwhile, in Duchess Mamiya's mansion, Waneyu Lee Mamiya relaxed in a bath after handling Merchant Guild affairs. While resting in the warm water, exhaustion weighed on her mind as she reflected on recent events and growing concerns. A servant attended to her, preparing aromatic products and assisting with her daily routine as she continued to recover her composure. Soon after, she decided to leave the bath and spend time shopping. Before departing, she instructed her servant to bring a newly made ring the following day. A sudden operation interrupted Waneyu's bath. Through the steam, officials announced that a liar had been identified among those present. Moments later, the flame of Tesset appeared. Chains tightened around Waneyu as the divine judgment began. Soon afterward, Sir Tesset arrived and ordered a direct examination. Waneyu faced the tribunal despite her confusion. Without delay, the questioning continued. Tesset dismissed objections and focused on uncovering the truth before time ran out. The investigation reached its key point, when Waneyu denied serving the Demon Lord or the Elite Four. Although angered by the accusation, she maintained her innocence. Tesset withdrew and the black flame judged Waneyu innocent. Sheba rushed over and checked on her condition. Relief finally reached Waneyu. The tension faded from her body as she realized the ordeal was over. Elsewhere, 3 adventurers hurried through the city at night. One of them angrily complained about an elderly man while they pressed forward with urgency. 30 minutes earlier, a group had discussed a strange plan involving a small creature and a possible transformation into Sir Tesset. The conversation continued as they identified the target, an elderly man with distinctive swirling hair who had recently appeared at the mansion. Group's plan moved forward as the small creature successfully took on Sir Tesset's appearance. Soon, the creature revealed its true identity as a member of the Elite Four. Confident in its power, it ignored every order and mocked those around it. Rather than backing down, the heroes reminded the creature that it was no longer free to act without consequences, and now stood surrounded by enemies. A direct warning followed. The leader threatened to send the creature back to the underworld if it refused to cooperate. Faced with overwhelming force, the Elite Four member immediately lost its confidence and panicked. After being threatened, the Elite Four member quickly surrendered. Terrified of being sent back to the underworld, it agreed to follow every instruction. Once it calmed down, the group explained why Sir Tesset's appearance was necessary. The disguise would help them avoid immediate suspicion. By borrowing Tesset's identity, they could investigate the Council of Sages, while drawing attention away from their real ally. Disguised infiltrator was ordered to meet the sages, conceal its true identity, and avoid raising doubts until the investigation ended. With the plan settled, attention shifted to recovering their original bodies before the operation began. Since no convenient magical method existed, they would have to investigate through careful observation. Even if Shishiku was somehow connected to the incident, they agreed that rescuing the princess and exposing the infiltrator came first. One member then raised a concern about failure. The possibility of never identifying the spy forced everyone to consider alternative outcomes. In response, the group decided to monitor the Council of Sages and their associates, believing suspicious activity would eventually reveal itself. Meanwhile, the speedrunner demonstrated his preparation by memorizing the capital's layout and offering to create a detailed map for the mission. After studying the capital's layout, the speedrunner mapped an efficient route, linking the council members' residences. Satisfied with the plan, he prepared supplies and eagerly looked forward to putting the route into action. When night arrived, the group moved through back alleys to avoid attention and reduce the chance of being discovered. To maximize stealth, the speedrunner removed unnecessary clothing and equipment, despite objections from his companions. Their first target, Waneyu, had already received a white verdict, allowing the group to cross her off the suspect list and continue onward. After clearing Waneyu from suspicion, the speedrunner remained outside the bathhouse and waited for the investigation to continue. The group selected Kronid as their next target. According to the speedrunner's knowledge, while following the path, they suddenly collided with an unexpected obstacle. The impact startled everyone and brought their advance to a halt. A hidden wall glitch had blocked the route. Confused by the discovery, the group searched for a way around it. Noticing a wooden crate nearby, the speedrunner immediately recognized it as the perfect tool for bypassing the obstacle and continuing the mission. Inside, the Royal Institute of Magic Alchemy Research, Kronid studied documents and calculations while investigating irregular celestial movements. As he reviewed his findings, he realized the stars were 13 days behind schedule. The discovery left him deeply confused and concerned. Before he could continue, an explosion suddenly erupted nearby. The shock interrupted his research and scattered papers across the room. Moments later, Sir Tesset appeared and initiated an immediate investigation. Chains locked around Cronid before he understood what was happening. Asked whether he served the Demon Lord or the Elite Four, Cronid firmly denied the accusation, while the disguised investigators observed his reaction. After the interrogation, the flame of Tesset turned white, proving Cronid's innocence. With another suspect cleared, the group shifted their attention to Lechefika. Kira explained that her family's military background made the investigation especially difficult. As they approached the mansion, Kira revealed details about a secret passage known only to family members and described the estate's fortress, like defenses. Rather than using the hidden route, the speedrunner spotted a section of wall without collision detection and chose a faster path, taking advantage of a rare oversight left in the game world. He slipped through the wall and continued the operation. As the group approached the Lechefika estate, Kira could not hide her admiration for the family home and the legacy it represented. Inside the mansion, Balz's Lechefika, Kira's grandfather and the Grand Marshal of the Royal Army, stood alone in a quiet room. Without warning, the investigators launched their operation. A sudden explosion of smoke filled the chamber and interrupted the old soldier's thoughts. The disguised Tesset immediately began the interrogation, while the others prepared to observe the suspect's reaction. His sharp response startled the investigators and revealed the instincts of a veteran warrior. Before the confrontation could escalate, Kira stepped between the blades and stopped her grandfather's attack. After lowering his weapon, Balz's agreed to cooperate. Kira promised to explain everything once the strange operation was finished. The questioning proceeded without resistance. Offended by the accusation, Balz's firmly rejected any connection to the Demon Lord or the Elite Four. The flame of Tesset soon turned white, confirming his innocence. With another suspect cleared, the investigators hurried to continue their mission. As they departed, Balz's watched the group leave and quietly identified the speedrunner as the otherworld hero. With Balz's cleared by the flame of Tesset, the group eliminated another suspect and continued their rapid investigation through the capital. Only Malena remained. Although no one believed she served the Demon Lord directly, doubt still lingered around her possible involvement. Determined to uncover the truth, the group headed toward her location, while discussing the possibility of forcing a confession if necessary. Their destination was the penthouse annex of the monastery at Wolferia Cathedral, where Malena currently resided. Unwilling to waste time, the speedrunner announced that he would take a shortcut. The others looked on with concern as he prepared another unconventional route. By jumping onto tiny decorative vines with collision detection, he planned to climb the cathedral wall directly. Using the hidden footholds, he rapidly ascended the structure. The route was far faster than entering through conventional paths, leaving his companions stunned. Recognizing the technique required exceptional skill, he instructed the others to remain behind while he proceeded alone. Ignoring the warning, Kira and her companion attempted to follow. They leaped onto the same narrow footholds and chased after him. Kira realized she had overestimated her abilities and decided the speedrunner was the only one capable of reaching the destination efficiently. At the cathedral annex, Malena spent the night in prayer, hoping for guidance and protection for the troubled people of the kingdom. While she prayed, the investigators arrived outside her residence. Unaware of their presence, Malena continued her quiet devotion. Without delay, the operation began. Chains appeared around Malena as the familiar interrogation procedure was set into motion. The disguised Tesset presented the usual question and demanded a direct answer regarding any connection to the Demon Lord or the Elite Four. Recognizing the investigation's unusual methods, she correctly identified the interrogator as the otherworld hero. Malena remained calm throughout the interrogation. The speedrunner quickly realized that tricks and pressure would never work against someone so composed. Concerned about the time limit, he repeated the question. Meanwhile, Malena observed the situation. At last, Malena gave a clear answer and denied any connection to the Demon Lord or the Elite Four. The flame of Tesset immediately turned white, confirming her innocence. With the final suspect cleared, the investigation reached its conclusion. Elsewhere, in the royal castle dungeon, the real Tesset reacted with outrage after learning what had been done in his name. Back at the castle, Wonyu angrily defended herself. She insisted that numerous servants could confirm her whereabouts and prove her innocence. Meanwhile, the imprisoned Tesset struggled to understand the situation. Without the flame of Tesset in his possession, the group explained their plan. By using the flame to interrogate the Council of Sages, they had ensured Tesset would be arrested before he could interfere. Although amused by Tesset's predicament, they acknowledged that events had unfolded in a strange way. Soon afterward, Balzes arrived with Milena. Having spoken with her directly, he demanded a proper explanation for everything that had happened. Kira assured the group that her family's involvement would protect them from serious consequences. Soon afterward, Ada stepped forward and took responsibility for the operation. She explained that the investigation had been conducted under her orders. She stated that the goal had been to expose a possible traitor hidden among the Council of Sages. As details emerged, several misunderstandings were cleared up. The group clarified incidents that had occurred during the investigation, including the confusion surrounding Waneu. However, one crucial question remained unanswered. If none of the suspects were guilty, then who was the Demon Lord's spy? Every suspect outside the prison had already been proven innocent by the flame of Tesset. Ada turned toward the dungeon cell and identified the only remaining possibility. Attention immediately shifted to Tesset himself. Without hesitation, the group decided to perform one final interrogation. Determined to end the mystery, they brought the flame before the imprisoned dragon. The operation began at once. Confused and frustrated, Tesset demanded answers as the familiar question was presented to him. After a brief silence, Tesset confessed. To everyone's shock, he admitted that he was the spy they had been searching for all along. Tesset admitted to being the spy, but insisted his actions were meant to protect the kingdom. The revelation shocked everyone. Tesset argued that the otherworld hero posed a greater threat and feared he could become a second demon lord. Before he could fully explain his reasoning, Tesset began revealing sensitive information about the hero and Ada's involvement. Suddenly, he collapsed inside the cell. The interruption came so abruptly that nobody understood what had happened. As panic spread, suspicion shifted toward a darker possibility. The group wondered whether Tesset had been silenced before he could expose the truth. Moments after his collapse, Tesset regained consciousness. However, his confused expression immediately suggested that something was terribly wrong. As everyone gathered around, Tesset looked at the surroundings in bewilderment. He could not recognize the place, and even questioned his own identity. Faced with Tesset's apparent memory loss, they struggled to understand whether the collapse had erased his memories, or if an even deeper mystery had just begun. In the throne room, a judicial officer delivered a report on the previous night's incident. Her investigation revealed that Duke Tesset had secretly served the Demon Lord as a spy. Evidence showed the Duke confessed after regaining consciousness, lost his earlier memories, and left behind a mana-infused blood-stained card in his study. Further examination restored the card, though powerful concealment. Magic prevented most of its contents from being read. Meanwhile, Sir Tesset remained under house arrest, showing neither resistance nor desire, as though his spirit had already departed. The investigation confirmed that no witness at the scene had erased Lord Tesset's memory. Instead, a spell had activated automatically under specific conditions, causing crucial evidence to disappear. To prevent unrest, the court decided to announce Tesset's retirement due to health concerns rather than reveal his crimes. Despite the explanation, doubts remained about why a respected noble would become a spy. His actions appeared inconsistent with the Demon Lord's interests, making the case even more puzzling. Remembering Tesset's devotion to justice, the officials struggled to believe he had willingly betrayed the kingdom. The king rejected the idea that Tesset had willingly become a spy, believing his character and actions never matched such a role. A new possibility emerged that someone had manipulated Tesset's mind and pushed him into serving another purpose. The court ordered further investigation, suspecting the blood-stained card and its mana traces were connected to the mystery. Attention then shifted to the otherworld hero, whose rapid success in resolving major problems continued to raise questions. Meanwhile, officials reviewed the hero's record and discovered a long list of offenses committed throughout his activities in the kingdom. After reviewing the hero's actions, the king officially pardoned his many offenses, accepting that his achievements outweighed the trouble he caused. Even so, the king could not help wondering what unexpected act the otherworld hero would commit next. Later attention shifted to the Duchy of Lafachika, where a gathering had been prepared at the family residence. Several guests enjoyed tea and desserts while the Duke observed them from across the table. As the meeting continued, the Duke quietly watched the noblewoman drinking tea, studying the situation in silence. During the tea gathering, the cat-eared girl happily praised the duchy's cheesecake, while the hero sat quietly beside her. Although he preferred spending his time on speedrunning, he attended the meeting to acknowledge the Duke's earlier assistance. The Duke observed every detail of proper etiquette, while the hero struggled to match the formal atmosphere. His companions quickly pointed out that strict manners were hardly his strongest quality. Setting the awkwardness aside, the hero formally thanked the Duke for the support he had received the previous day. The Duke praised the hero's covert operation, noting that its success had already produced visible results across the kingdom. Even so, he struggled to accept that Lord Tesset, a man known for his principles, had willingly cooperated with the Demon Lord. Meanwhile, political changes began unfolding as Themis was expected to inherit the title of Duke Tesset. The discussion turned to the few noble families whose bloodlines still traced back to ancient legends. Amid the serious topic, the Duke lightened the mood with a joke, earning an uneasy reaction from the others. The conversation shifted to noble succession, with the hero recalling an old legend that claimed ancient bloodlines weakened as generations passed. The Duke proudly declared Kira the rightful heir of the Lekifika family, recognized both in title and responsibility. Suddenly, the discussion turned toward the hero's earlier undercover mission, especially his questionable lack of clothing. Attempting to justify himself, the hero insisted the unusual disguise had been necessary to avoid detection. His explanation only created more confusion, and the gathering descended into a debate over propriety, appearances, and Kira's future marriage prospects. The Duke reacted furiously to the suggestion that the hero could become Kira's fiancé, rejecting the idea without hesitation and drawing his sword in protest. Meanwhile, Kira briefly imagined a future where she and the hero were married, leaving her visibly distracted. As the fantasy continued, her embarrassment grew stronger, and the imagined scenes became increasingly romantic. Sudden blush only confused the others, while Kira desperately denied having such thoughts. Before the misunderstanding could spread further, the hero hurriedly explained that nothing inappropriate had happened, though the Duke remained far from convinced. The Duke dragged the hero away from the gathering, determined to have a private discussion despite the hero's protests. Left behind, the others remarked that the Duke's fierce attitude had softened over the years, though his protectiveness remained unchanged. Kira explained that the Duke acted more like a guardian than a grandfather, prompting the cat-eared girl to note how deeply he cared for her. Meanwhile, the hero followed the Duke through the mansion's halls, sensing another unexpected event unfolding around him. As he looked around, he admired the grand residence and realized that Kira truly carried the dignity of a noble family. While exploring the mansion, the hero stopped before a large portrait and immediately recognized the woman depicted within it. Her name was Princess Sayla Fulshula, a figure whose identity stirred memories and questions. Duke explained that she belonged to the royal family and had lived a century earlier, earning fame throughout the kingdom. Records described her as the saint who saved the world 100 years ago and summoned a hero from another world. Revelation deepened when it became known that she had also been the Master of Brahms, one of the legendary Elite Four. The Duke explained that Princess Sayla's summoned hero died in his first battle, leaving her blamed for the tragedy and shunned by the kingdom. As criticism spread, even loyal knights abandoned her and defected to the Demon Lord's side, accompanied only by a handful of retainers. Sayla personally confronted the Demon Lord, though none of them survived the battle. Her death was followed by war, retaliation, and a devastating massacre that claimed millions of lives across the continent. Despite her tragic reputation, the Duke revealed that Sayla's bloodline lived on through the Lekifika family, explaining that the bloodline of the first hero had weakened over generations while monsters devastated the land. He then revealed that Lady Ada was born with immense power, proving the goddess had not completely abandoned humanity. After the tense discussion, the Duke apologized to Shichiku and invited him to hear a more personal story about Kira. Their walk through the mansion led to a conversation about Kira's childhood, including her long dedication to learning the violin. Although Kira practiced diligently for years, her performances remained oddly poor, leaving the Duke both amused and puzzled by her lack of progress. A renowned swordsman, who led troops against monsters threatening the kingdom's frontier, and ultimately died in battle. Because Kira was still very young, she barely remembered him, leaving only stories and his armor behind. Hoping to spare her from the same fate, the Duke encouraged her love of music and wished for a peaceful future. However, Kira unexpectedly declared her desire to become a swordsman, showing a determination that could not be ignored. Fearing she would follow her father's path, the Duke subjected her to harsh training in hopes of driving her back toward a safer life. Her talent flourished rapidly, and she grew into one of the kingdom's greatest swordswomen. Duke admitted his plan had failed completely, as his efforts to protect her only pushed her further toward the battlefield. Setting aside his regrets, he entrusted Shichiku with a personal request to bring Kira home safely when the conflict finally ended. The serious moment quickly faded as the Duke joked that he would rather hear Kira's terrible violin playing again. Shichiku agreed awkwardly, only to be caught off guard when the Duke immediately reminded him that he still was not accepted as family. After leaving the mansion, Shichiku and his companions received cheesecake as a farewell gift and prepared to continue their journey. While walking through the capital, Shichiku reflected on everything he had learned. realizing the people of this world felt far more real than simple game characters. Watching his companions laugh together, he quietly appreciated the peaceful moment. With renewed determination, Shichiku decided that all that remained was reaching the story's true happy ending. Earlier that day, however, routine inspections at the Western Gate had unknowingly begun a chain of events that would soon disrupt those hopes. At the Western Gate, members of Ada's Shield assisted the Royal Guard with checkpoint inspections, despite finding the assignment unusually mundane. One adventurer complained about the lack of action, while another focused on gathering herbs and helping with routine tasks around the camp. During a break, they checked on Loran, an elderly support member who had spent much of her time recovering from injuries. The group praised her rare ability to distinguish humans from demons, a skill that had become increasingly valuable. Though unable to fight, Loran expressed gratitude for the chance to contribute and repay her companions in her own way. Maloney praised Loran's unique blessing, and reminded her that it had saved countless lives by detecting hidden demons before they could strike. Although grateful, Loran admitted she still felt uneasy despite the recent victories achieved by the kingdom's heroes. Nearby, the adventurers enthusiastically discussed Shichiku's growing list of achievements, amazed by how quickly he resolved major crises. The conversation shifted to rankings and future promotions, with everyone treating the recent successes as good news. Suddenly, a forgotten memory resurfaced within Loran, and the cheerful atmosphere vanished as a terrifying realization struck her. Loran suddenly sensed something familiar within a covered wagon at the checkpoint and urgently pointed the others toward it. The presence felt different from an ordinary demon, and the lingering scent of blood triggered a disturbing memory she could not ignore. Alarmed, the adventurers rushed toward the wagon and demanded that the occupants reveal themselves. Inside sat a calm, mysterious man who appeared completely unfazed by the commotion surrounding him. Although his travel documents were flawless, suspicion only deepened, prompting the guards to inspect him more closely. Convinced that a demon was hiding nearby, an adventurer activated his special detection ability and focused his attention on the mysterious traveler. The traveler remained calm and even mocked the attempt, claiming the power being used was not meant to identify him. While others watched nervously, Loran suddenly reacted with shock as if she had recognized something important. The adventurer's confidence quickly crumbled when the traveler's presence triggered an overwhelming sense of dread. Without warning, the traveler declared that the truth had finally been revealed, leaving everyone frozen in uncertainty as the situation escalated. After a tense inspection, the adventurer finally declared that the traveler was human, leaving everyone momentarily confused. The traveler explained that a powerful item in his cargo had distorted the detection skill and created the false impression of a demonic presence. To support his claim, he revealed a massive magic stone taken from a lava boar, an extremely rare monster. The adventurers quickly realized the stone likely came from the creature they had recently defeated, confirming the traveler's story. Although the explanation made sense, Loran remained uneasy, recognizing that the sinister aura and scent of blood still did not fully add up. Satisfied with the inspection results, the guards allowed the traveler to continue his journey and watched as the wagon slowly departed from the checkpoint. As the wagon rolled farther from the city, his calm expression hinted that the incident was far from over.